This is a motion spearheaded by Honorable Captain Rueda Obo, seeking to have establishment of a priority boarding school for Kenya Defence Forces and the Kenya Special Forces personnel on local airlines. In this particular motion, Captain Rueda seeks to have the House urge the national government through the Ministry of Roads and Transport to encourage local airlines to establish a priority boarding protocol for the Kenya Defence and Kenya Special Forces personnel, which grants them the privilege to board local aircrafts before the general public. The Committee of the Whole House is scheduled to consider two bills. Among them is the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, a bill originating from the Senate, Bill number 9 of the year 2022. This bill on County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill is by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. The other bill lined up for consideration under the Committee of the Whole is a bill by the Leader of the Majority Party and the Leader of the Minority Party on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, Bill number 10 of the year 2024. This afternoon, we expect the National Assembly to resume debate on the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill. This is Bill number 67 of the year 2023 by the Leader of the Majority Party. And another bill for consideration this afternoon is in regards to the Land Laws Amendment Bill number 2, National Assembly Bills number 76 of the year 2023 by the Leader of the Majority Party. Pursuant to Standing Orders of the House, Standing Orders number 44, subsection 2C, Members of Parliament will be requesting for statements. Honorable Miriam Kaitani, member for Aldai, will be requesting for a statement on the delay of the Maendeleo ya Wanawake elections. Honorable Gideon Muliongi, member for Mwingi Central, will be seeking a statement in regards to circumstances surrounding the death of a specified person. These particular statements will be forwarded to the relevant departmental committee, and the committee in this case is the Committee on Matters Administration and Internal Security. The business of the National Assembly is just about to commence as the Speaker's procession has already made its way into the chamber this afternoon. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast brought to you by the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation in partnership with the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit. Enjoy your viewing and good afternoon.
Waheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetuonya nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala haki wa wanadamu. Tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote tutakayofikisha mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, can you ring the quorum bell?
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes, and this particular directive is guided by the House standing orders that guides the Speaker when the House is sitting. And as we await for signals from the chamber that that number has been attained, according to the standing orders of the House, at least 50 members are required to be seated in the chamber at any particular time when the House is sitting. And as we await for that number to be attained, allow me to take you through the highlights in the order of business this afternoon pertaining the agenda for consideration by members of the National Assembly, where apart from the Land Laws Amendment Bill number 2 of the National Assembly, Bill number 76 of the year 2023, the House is also set to consider a motion. This motion is the report of the Auditor General on the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for 9 constituencies in Bungoma County. Equally, lined up for consideration is a motion on the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of specified state corporations for the year ended 2017-2018 and then 2020 to 2021, as well as 2012 to 2023 and 2013 and 2024. These corporations, among them Kenya Medical Training College, Kenyatta University, and Kenya Medical Research Institute. The House has raised the quorum. Allow me to hand you over so you can follow up on the proceedings coming from the chamber this afternoon. Enjoy your viewing.
Members, we have quorum to transact business. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, majority whip. Order, honorable members. Take your seats. Baba Wino, you are hard labor here, and when you come in, there's a commotion. Take your seat. Honorable members, I have a few communications to make. The first one is about the annual National Prayer Breakfast. As you know, we are taking a recess this week, and the prayer breakfast will be within the recess period. Honorable members, as you are aware, the annual National Prayer Breakfast is held every last Thursday of the month of May. In this regard, the 2024 Kenya National Assembly Prayer Breakfast is scheduled to take place on Thursday, 30th May 2024, at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi. The prayer breakfast will be held under the theme, Hope. Honorable members, the prayer breakfast is an interdenominational prayer meeting organized by members of parliament and includes various leaders from across the country and beyond. In order to facilitate attendance to the 2024 annual prayer breakfast, members are requested to pick their invitation cards to the event at the main reception. You may contact the chairperson of the prayer breakfast group, the member for Aina Moi, Honorable Samuel Chepkonga, CBS MP, for any further clarification. Additionally, honorable members, the First Lady of Kenya shall host the Women Convocation on Wednesday, 29th May 2024 at State House from 10 a.m. All women members of Parliament are invited to the convocation. Final, honorable members, the National Conversation 2024 shall be held on Wednesday, 29th May 2024 at Safari Park Hotel from 1 p.m. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. Members at the bar, take your seats, the nearest seats. Honorable Mandazi, what is your idea of the nearest seat? Honorable members, the second communication is an invitation to the National Government Constituencies Development Fund 20 years anniversary celebration. Honorable members, as you are aware, the National Government Constituencies Development Fund, NGCDF, was established in 2003 under the NGCDF Act 2015 with an objective to supplement infrastructure development at the constituency level in matters falling within the exclusive functions of the National Assembly. Actually, the 2015 is the amendment of the original bill, Act. Honorable members, the fund commenced operations in April 2004. Over the years, the fund has been instrumental in enabling grassroots development, including construction of schools as well as providing bursaries to needy students. Honorable members, in recognition of the enormous achievements of the fund as demonstrated by a substantial transformation across the country, the board has organized a series of events highlighting the tremendous impact of NGCDF. The events will culminate in a national celebration to be observed on Friday, 3rd May 2024 at Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi. The ceremony will be presided over by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces. In view of the role of Parliament and members of Parliament specifically in the conceptualization, marshalling of legislation and oversight of the fund, the NGCDF board has extended an invitation to all honorable members to the celebration on Friday, 3rd May 2024 at 9 a.m. All guests are expected to be seated by 8:30 a.m. Thank you. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Honorable members, the third communication is on the referral of the draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024 to the Committee on Delegated Legislation. Honorable members, the communication relates to the regulations which have just been laid by the leader of the majority party. Section 59(3) of the Affordable Housing Act 2024 provides that the Cabinet Secretary shall table before Parliament the regulations made under this section within 30 days of commencement of the Act. In this regard, and as part of the processing of the envisaged regulations, the Minister of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development submitted to the National Assembly the draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024 on Friday, 26 April 2024. I hasten to note that the Ministry has had engagements with various stakeholders on the draft regulations as part of public participation in line with the Statutory Instruments Act, Cap 2A. Honourable members, noting the centrality of the regulations to the full implementation of the Affordable Housing Program and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 210-2, I hereby refer the draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024 to the Committee on Delegated Legislation for consideration. Honourable members, while appreciating the matters of affordable housing concern county governments in accordance with Article 110 of the Constitution, I direct the committee to sit jointly with the Senate Committee on Delegated Legislation to consider the draft regulations. I further direct the clerk to facilitate the committee in undertaking public participation activities on the draft regulations. The House accordingly guided. Honourable members, that communication relates to an event that is just about to happen. So we will consider the communication as having been made after the laying, because the laying will come soon hereafter. I noticed that anomaly. Take your seat, Honourable member.
Flooding.
Yeah.
There's a communication about flooding.
Why can't we do the preliminaries? Then
Yes. That's the preliminaries.
Honourable members, the next communication is a bit lengthy. So I will finish up with the preliminaries before I come to that communication. So let's go to the next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honourable Speaker, thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. Honourable Speaker, now I lay the draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024 from the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. So
the clerk will edit the Hansard accordingly to reflect that you laid the documents before the communication.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. So secondly, the draft Water Sector Trust Fund Projects Funding Criteria 2023 from the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Third, sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on Kenya policy on public participation to Parliament from the Office of the Attorney General. 4, the financial year 2024-2025 budget estimates from the judiciary and the following accompanying documents. 1, itemized recurrent and development budget for both Vote 2061 and 9011. Financial year 2024-2025 2026-2027 medium-term expenditure framework (MTF) sector report, and C, financial year 2024-2025 to 2026-2027 program-based budget (PBP) report. 5, budget estimates and the medium term of Judiciary Service Commission Vote 2051 for the financial year 2024-2025 and the Judiciary Service Commission subsector report financial year 2024-2025 to 2026-2027 from the Judicial Service Commission. 6, the Judiciary Service Tribunal to inquire into the conduct of Justice Mohammed Nur Kulo, Rules of Procedure 2024. 7, estimates of recurrent and development expenditure of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Honorable members, this concerns Parliament. Estimates of recurrent and development expenditure of the Parliamentary Service Commission for the year ending 30th June 2025 and projections for 2025, 2026 to 2027. 8. Report of the Auditor General and financial statements on Agricultural Development Corporation for the year ended 30th June 2023 and the certificates therein. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Chairperson, African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption.
Thank you,
Shakil.
Honorable Speaker, sir. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 30th April 2024. The 2024 to 2028 Strategic Plan for the African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption, Kenya, APNA, Kenya. Sir.
Thank you. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 30th April 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on its consideration of the Multilateral Convention to implement tax treaty-related measures to prevent base erosion and profit shifting, MLI. I beg to lay.
Yes. Yes, Owen Bayer.
Honorable Speaker, I beg your indulgence on this, Honorable Speaker, that today is the last day for laying the financial estimates for the national government, but as we were going to lay, we didn't have them at this particular time, and they're supposed to be laid before 5 p.m. today. So I beg your indulgence.
Whenever you are ready,
as soon as we are ready, we will lay. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Once you are ready, alert the chair.
Oh, thank you.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. McClap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to give notice of motion on consideration of the Multilateral Convention to implement tax treaty and related measures to prevent base erosion and profit shifting, MLI. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on its consideration of the Multilateral Convention to implement tax treaty-related measures to prevent base erosion and profit shifting, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 30th April 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8.4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of the Multilateral Convention to implement a tax treaty-related measures to prevent base erosion and profit shifting, subject to reservations on Article 5, application of methods for elimination of double taxation, and Article 16 on mutual agreement procedure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Kipkelion East, Joseph Kimtai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, because of the opportunity I've given me. This concerns the adjournment of the House on a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding the ongoing floods, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 33(1)C, I rise to seek leave for the adjournment of the House for the purpose of discussing a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding the ongoing floods and other attendant inconveniences related thereto as experienced across the country, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, the March-May long rains started sometimes in mid-March. And since then, the country has experienced weeks of heavy rain and devastating flash floods, which has led to the loss of lives, loss of business, destruction of property, and disruption of national activities, Mr. Speaker. Just to mention a few. In one unfortunate incident, Mr. Speaker, the old Kijabe Dam in Kamushiri village experienced a dam failure owing to structural failure characterized by sudden, rapid, and uncontrolled release of impounded water, which led to deaths of over 50 persons and 100 plus hospitalized as at now, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, opening of schools has also been halted due to the uncertainty on the safety of the children and the teachers, as well as the unfortunate conditions on some of the schools, Mr. Speaker. In addition, there has been loss of livelihood and business, and this has also exacerbated the already worse economic situation and led to immense and immeasurable suffering of Kenyans, and mostly the small traders, Mr. Speaker. The unprecedented events of the floods have also led to the closure of roads and highways, impacting the road connection network, and has likely to affect the secluded areas due to increased prices of basic needs as a result of shortage of supplies, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek leave for adjournment of the House to discuss this matter of great national concern with a view of exploring possible solutions in order to advise the responsible key players, stakeholders, and the country at large, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Do you have the requisite number supporting you?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I'm asking them to rise, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The motion, for those who are not listening, is to adjourn. Order. Order. For those who are not listening, the motion is to adjourn the House to discuss the raging floods in the country. The support is overwhelming. A member for Kipkelion, I also want to advise you that after I received and approved your motion, a nominated member, Irene Mayaka, also brought an identical motion, and I'll probably advise you that after you've spoken and moved the motion, whoever will be in the chair, Irene can be given the second bite, because she had a similar motion. I direct that the motion having overwhelming support will be debated either at 6 or after order number 13 on the order paper, whichever comes earlier. Next.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Turkana South, Ariko. Honorable Ariko is in the House. Ariko Namoit. Statement deferred. Next, member for Chepalungu, Victor Koech, Elias Mandazi.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to request for a statement regarding disparities in promotion of teachers in Bomet County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education regarding disparities in promotion of teachers in Bomet County. Honorable Speaker, following the recently concluded interviews by the Teacher Service Commission, a concerning trend has been reported, which is negatively impacting teachers in Bomet County and specifically Chepalungu constituency. Astonishingly, only 4 teachers from Bomet County were promoted, while 57 positions granted to teachers from outside of Bomet County, despite there being numerous qualified candidates from Bomet County. Regrettably, experienced teachers who have led schools in the county from their inception were overlooked in favor of candidates who reside from outside Bomet County. It is noted that teachers from within Bomet County have been involved in running of schools and significantly grown students' population, contributing substantially to development in education in the county. In this regard, it is observed that external teachers often lack sustained commitment to local education development, viewing their position as a stepping stone for career progression rather than development of education in the locality of the schools. Honorable Speaker, on 3rd November 2022, this House passed a motion resolving that the Teacher Service Commission reverses the delocalization of teachers and devolves the deployment of teachers to zonal level in line with the International Labour Law, ILO, and UNESCO practices on teachers' management and deployment. However, this seems to not have been implemented by the government. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of Departmental Committee on Education on the following. Could the chairperson provide reasons for the significant disparities in the promotion of teachers in Bomet County and specifically Chepalungu constituency compared to other counties? 2, could the chairperson provide the rationale behind the overlooking of long-serving teachers in acting capacities in Bomet County during the promotion process? And lastly, Mr. Speaker, what measures is the government taking to postpone the deployment of teachers until adherence to established guidelines, including the ILO and UNESCO practices on teachers' management and deployment? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Chairman, Education Meli, you've heard the request. You bring your statement the first week after recess. Next member, nominated member, Umul Khair Harun.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation regarding the overflow of Masinga Dam affecting downstream residents. Honorable Speaker, Masinga Dam plays a crucial role in generation of hydroelectric power for our country. However, following the ongoing rains, the water levels in the dam have increased exponentially, leading to overflow. This has severely affected residents of Garissa and Tana River counties, which are situated at the downstream area of the dam. Among the hardest hit are farmers, who have suffered immense losses as their crops, including mangoes, bananas, watermelons, tomatoes, onions, and chilies, have been swept away. The destruction of these crops will not only affect the livelihood of the farmers, but also exacerbates the scarcity of essential food items, leading to a surge in prices. It is also noted that due to impassability of roads, residents generally rely on boats as a means of transportation. This results to increased safety risk, as exemplified by the recent events on the Garissa-Madogo Road, where a boat capsized, leading to loss of lives. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I seek a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation on the following. What immediate measures have been put in place by the government to address the flood menace in Garissa and Tana River counties caused by the overflow from the Masinga Dam? What steps are being taken to provide assistance to affected farmers, including provision of financial support? Could the Chairperson clarify whether there are any measures being put in place to improve infrastructure, such as road networks and drainage systems in the downstream areas of Masinga Dam to mitigate floods, flood risk, and facilitate emergency response efforts? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Chairman responsible for Water, Bowen. That
Mr. Speaker, we
will not wait for 2 weeks. That's an emergency. Bring a statement on Thursday, day after tomorrow.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Honourable members, we'll go back. There are more statements. Yes, what's out of order?
Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I needed your guidance and direction as in line with our Constitution, this House never legislates in vain. Honorable Speaker, this regards the political parties' affairs, specifically political parties' funds, Honorable Speaker. I'm glad that you superintend a political party as a party leader of the Second Liberation Party for the Kenya Majenga. Honorable Speaker.
Don't use me as a pretext to make a statement.
Honorable Speaker, that will not change.
Yes.
Yes, you are. And we are happy about it. Honorable Speaker, the political parties fund gave a 0.03% of the budget, country's budget, to go towards political parties. And we all underscore the role played by political parties in advancing our democracy and freedom in this country, Honorable Speaker. And there are many, many activities underneath political parties, including grassroots election and others, Honorable Speaker. Coming to my point, Honorable Speaker, whereas the law is very clear on the participatory role played by political parties, all political parties in Kenya are not receiving their due fund, Honorable Speaker. As we speak today, 11 billion shillings is owed to political parties in this country. When the budget for the year 2022-2023 was being crafted, Honorable Speaker, during the...
What is your point?
My point is what I'm coming to, Honorable Speaker. The Budget and Appropriations Committee did remove 800 million shillings in a supplementary budget from political parties, Honorable Speaker. My concern at this point in time, even as we work on the next round of budget cycle, Honorable Speaker, is to ask you, as our Speaker, to direct Treasury, our Budget Committee, and whoever is involved, Honorable Speaker, to respond to the needs of political parties as regards the political parties fund. This country has done great to pay external debts. Political parties fund is owed 11 billion shillings, and that is an internal debt that must also be responded to, Honorable Speaker. I need your direction. I need your indulgence on this. As the Secretary for Public Policy and Economic Affairs in the biggest party, ODM, Honorable Speaker, and I thank you.
Your concerns noted. Yes, the Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, maybe I will commit to follow up on the question of exchequer releases, but on the question of review of the monies allocated to the political parties. Honorable Speaker, you know that was not a decision of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, as the honorable member asserts. That was a decision of the House, because the House that's where the Honorable Owino also sits in. And I am certain he was here when we passed the resolution to reduce Honorable Okello, not Honorable Owino. Honorable Okello was in the House when we made that decision to reduce through supplementary estimates one. Honorable Speaker, I am also aware, and it's good that you say that you have noted, but it's also good for the Honorable Okello to know that after the House resolved to reduce the allocation to the political parties. And you know, Honorable Speaker, our party, UDA, is the largest political party, and therefore we lost the highest amount in supplementary estimates 1. But the party that Honorable Okello comes from, subsequent to the passage of the resolution by the House where the Honorable Okello sits in, to reduce that amount, the Honorable Okello's party, ODM, went to court. And that matter is already before the courts. And I do not want to get into sub judice matters, Honorable Speaker, but I was hoping the Honorable Okello would allude, or rather inform the House what informed him and his party to support a motion on the floor of the House to reduce the amount, then go to question the same decision in court. And I had hoped Honorable Okello would speak to that particular aspect, but I can see he has veered off. But let me, Honorable Speaker, commit to check with the National Treasury and maybe report back to the House on Thursday as to when we can get exchequer releases, not just for the political parties, but also the pending NGCDF exchequer releases now that we are going on the long recess, the long working recess, and I know a number of members will be keen to get money released for NGAF and NGCDF and also other development exchequer releases before the end of the financial year. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Okello, you should have been honorable enough to disclose that your party is in court on this matter. I don't want to open debate on this. I will go back to that. Inform who? The House is not interested. Honorable members, we have other statements, one by Marianne Kitani, Gideon Mulyungi, and responses to George Murugara, Adan Keinan, and Joseph Lekuton. I'll go back to order number 2, make a communication, then we come back to this. So call out order number 2 again.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Thank you. Members on their feet, take your seats. Order. Honorable Deputy Whip of the Minority Party, take your seat. Honorable members have a communication to make. On a notice of motion for dismissal of Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi, Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development. Honorable members, order. Honorable Okello, keep your cool. I wish to notify you, honorable members, that pursuant to Article 150, a resolution of the House for the dismissal of the Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi as the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development on grounds of gross violation of the Constitution or any other law, serious reasons to believe that the Cabinet Secretary has committed a crime under national law, and gross misconduct. Honorable members, Standing Order 661 provides that before giving notice of a motion under Article 152(6) of the Constitution, a member shall deliver to the clerk a copy of the proposed motion in writing. Whereas Standing Order 661 is silent on the timeline within which the clerk is required to consider the proposed motion and advise the Speaker, it must be noted that a motion for dismissal of a Cabinet Secretary is a special motion under Standing Order 61 which ought to be disposed of expeditiously. Consequently, the clerk is required to consider the proposed motion and advise the Speaker without unnecessary delay. Further, in the case of the Speaker, Standing Order 64 and 66 provide that a proposed motion shall be disposed by the Speaker within 3 days of receipt of notice by a member. The 3 members at the bar, take your seats. This will take a little longer. Take the nearest seats. Thank you. Honorable members, the strict timeline of 3 days is intended to allow the Speaker to examine the proposed motion and any evidence attached to it and determine whether the proposed motion meets the procedural requirements outlined in the standing orders. In this regard, I note that the member for Bumola constituency submitted the proposed motion to my office last week on Wednesday, 24th April 2024. Article 259(5) of the Constitution provides for the manner of computation of time. It guides that where time is expressed as days, the day on which the first event occurs is to be excluded, and the day by which the last event may occur is to be included when computing time. Consequently, the period of 3 days that applies to the Speaker in respect of the proposed motion started running from Thursday, 25th April 2024, the 3 days expiring on Saturday, 27th April 2024, and as such, the earliest available opportunity for the Speaker to notify the House on the admissibility of the proposed special motion is today, being the nearest available sitting of the House since receipt of the proposed motion. Honourable members, allow me to highlight the legal and procedural requirements that guide the process of dismissing a cabinet secretary. Article 152(6) of the Constitution provides, and I quote, "A member of the National Assembly, supported by at least 1/4 of all the members of the Assembly, may propose a motion requiring the President to dismiss a cabinet secretary. A, on the grounds of gross violation of a provision of the Constitution or any law, or any other law, and B, where there are serious reasons for believing that the Cabinet Secretary has committed a crime under national or international law, or C, for gross misconduct." Procedurally, Standing Order 661 provides that before giving notice of motion under Article 152(6) of the Constitution, a member shall deliver to the clerk a copy of the proposed motion in writing. A, stating the grounds and particulars in terms of Article 152(6) of the Constitution upon which the proposed motion is made. B, signed by the member, and C, signed in support by at least 1/4 of all the members of the Assembly.
Good afternoon. Thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1. My name is Irene Chuma Odim. We are interrupting this live broadcast to take you to Mahiu in the county of Nakuru. President William Ruto is this afternoon in the county of Nakuru to visit the survivors of the Mai flash floods that left hundreds displaced. 60 lives were lost, and as of today, 28 people are still missing. And President William Ruto is there this afternoon at Ngea Secondary School to meet with the survivors, talk to them, and also to listen to them. This is the government committed to support the victims of the flash floods in the country. His visit comes hours after he had a special meeting with cabinet secretaries on measures that they are going to tackle in addressing flash floods concerns in the country. And President William Ruto was this afternoon received by Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika. Now let's cross over and listen in.
Wengi mpaka their relatives bado hawajapatikana. Kwa hivyo mimi kwanza ni kushukuru sana as county government ya Nakuru kwa umetushikilia sana in that togetherness with the national government. So far tumeweza kupata some of the deceased, but bado najua from some of the families bado kuna family members wenye hawajapatikana, lakini nataka kuwaambia together na guidance na leadership ya the president, tumeongeza watu on the ground so that tuweze kuendelea kutafuta wale loved ones wetu wenye hatujapata. Kama county government ya Nakuru, with the help ya our president here, tumesema pia tutagharamia any medical expenses. Hata kama mtu alienda private hospital, tunataka tujue wenye wako county hospital, pia hizo tutagharamia. And once we come together, pia nataka tu niwaambie, as much as hizi mna huzuni, hamjui hata mkitoka hapa mtaenda wapi, nataka tu niwaambie, we have had a discussion with the president. Tunaendelea kudiscuss. Uzuri wa president wetu ni mtu anaelewa hii maneno, anajua ulitoka hauna hata nguo ingine other than the one umevaa hapa leo shushu. Kwa hivyo msijali, mjue tunabeba hiyo mzigo na tuta make sure hamutatoka hapa muende tu bila kujua where you have gone. We shall make sure you are settled, but we leave that to the president to talk. So thank you very much. Na once tumemaliza na tufike mahali ya kujua vile tutapumzisha wenzetu, we shall also come together with the MCA and the MP here, and then we shall advise the president and do it together. Kwa hivyo nataka tumjue tuko na nyinyi, and we shall do everything that we need to do to make sure imekuwa easy ya kidogo. May the good Lord bless you na awape peace as we continue to look for our loved ones. Asante.
Wakenya wenzangu, mimi pia nimefika hapa kuleta pole nyingi sana. Pole nyingi kutoka baraza letu la mawaziri. Tumekutana leo asubuhi na Wakenya wengi. Kwenu watu wa hapa Mai Mahiu, na hasa kwa familia za wale wote mlioathirika katika janga hii, kusema poleni sana kwa kupoteza ndugu zenu, watoto wenu, jamaa zenu katika tatizo ambalo tumepata kama taifa ya mafuriko na mvua ya kuzidi katika sehemu mbalimbali, lakini pigo kubwa sana imekuwa ni hapa Mai Mahiu. Nilipata habari hii jana, na RC wetu pamoja na gavana wetu, na baadaye nikatuma naibu rais akuje hapa, na aliponieleza vile mambo yalivyokuwa hapa, nikasema hata na mimi nitafika hapa, ndio mjue ya kwamba sote kama serikali ya Kenya, yale mnayoyapitia wakati huu, tumesimama na nyinyi, na muelewe ya kwamba janga ambalo limewapata sote kwa njia moja ama nyingine tutasaidiana. Ndio nimekuja hapa kusema pole. Najua mmepoteza watoto wenu, watu zaidi ya 48 kufikia sasa wamepatikana kama tayari wamefariki, wakiwemo watoto, kina mama na wazee. Kuna watu bado wako hospitalini, karibu watu 26 wako kwenye mahospitali zetu. Wale wote tangu juzi karibu watu 100, wengi wametibiwa na wametoka hospitalini. Na shida hii ambayo imetokea Kenya, tumepoteza watu zaidi ya 171 kufikia leo Kenya mzima, katika sehemu mbalimbali kwa mambo ya mafuriko. Na kwa rahisi tumekuwa tukishirikiana Nilifanya mkutano wiki iliyopita ya kiserikali ya kuweka mpango na mikakati ya kukabiliana na mafuriko haya, na kwa sehemu kubwa
The pictures on your screen are coming live from Mahimahu in the county of Nakuru, where President William Ruto is in the region this afternoon to talk to and listen to the survivors of the Mahimahu flash floods that happened yesterday, one that has so far reportedly claimed 70 lives and 28 people are still missing. These as hundreds more are displaced. President William Ruto was this afternoon received by Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika, and they are talking to the victims, these as they assure them of the government's support in ensuring that they get back into their faith. And this visit comes hours after President William Ruto had a special meeting with cabinet secretaries at State House today, and they were looking at special ways of tackling the flash floods in the country. It has also affected other parts of the country. In Machakos County, for instance, at least 12,000 people have been displaced, and according to the report by the government spokesperson, the efforts will continue in the country until the situation has normalized, and I'm being informed by my able team on the ground led by Giverson Maina that we should go back to Mahimayu. The president is currently speaking.
Yale mambo mnayohitaji, madawa, blanketi, mattress, chakula, tutahakikisha iko ya kutosha ndio tuweze kupunguza uzito ambao mko nao kwa kupoteza watu wenu na kutoka manyumbani kwenu mmekuja hapa katika shule hii. Nataka niseme vile vile ya kwamba leo katika baraza la mawaziri tumekubaliana mambo kadhaa ambayo ni vizuri ni watangazie Wakenya wote. Kupoteza watu zaidi ya 170 sio jambo ndogo kwa kipimo ya aina yoyote, na kwa sababu hiyo lazima tuchukue hatua kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunahakikisha kwamba maisha ya wananchi inalindwa. Kwa hivyo kwenu watu wa hapa Mahimahu, manyumba yenu yamebebwa na maji, mali yenu, yale mambo yote, ng'ombe, mimea, chakula imebebwa na maji. Tutahakikisha kwamba tumefanya kazi pamoja na nyinyi ndio mpate mambo yenu yote, tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba mmepata msaada mbadala so that you can so tutapanga hivyo, na ndio sababu hiyo county government iko hapa, regional government iko hapa, regional commissioner na wale watu wake wote na mashirika yote ya serikali, wizara ya afya iko hapa, wizara ya mambo ya provincial administration iko hapa, na tuhakikishe na ile ya special programs ambayo inasaidiana na kutafuta mambo ya chakula. Pia waziri yuko hapa, ndio tuhakikisha kwamba hii mzigo tunaubeba pamoja. Mimi nilikuwa katika shule hii sio muda mrefu. Nilikuja kufungua hii shule hii kwa sababu tuko na watoto wengi ambao wanasoma katika shule hii, na vile mnavyojua kufunguliwa kwa shule ingekuwa leo, lakini tuliamua
On the screen are live from Mahimahiu in the county of Nakuru as rescue efforts continue, and President William Ruto is this afternoon at Ngea Secondary School, where he is meeting the survivors of the flash floods. At least 28 people are still missing. This as the government commits to pay hospital bills of Mahimahiu tragedy, and also to ensure that they continue to get the government support in areas that they were affected, including livestock, recovery, homes, and farms. Let's go back to Mahimahiu and listen to what the president has to say.
Tutawatafutia mahali mtaenda kuishi kwa muda, tukipanga vile mambo yenu tutakubaliana na nyinyi. Na tumesema kama serikali ya kwamba kuna sehemu nyingi Kenya ambayo iko na hatari kama hii inaweza kutokea. Pia sehemu hizo
The president is in Nakuru County, Mahimahiu area, where the flash floods were witnessed yesterday. 71 lives were lost from the incident. Hundreds more were displaced from the flash floods. And this afternoon, search, rescue and retrieval operations continue, particularly in Mahimahiu, due to the recent effects of the flash floods. And the president currently is addressing survivors of the flash floods that have evidently left them devastated, and the government is trying to assure them that they will get the support that they require. Let's get back to Nakuru County and listen to what the president has to say.
Away from those areas in time, because the forecast is such that there will be, rain will be continuing for the foreseeable future, and there is already a lot of precipitation in the that pose a danger to their security. Na kwa hivyo tutawatafutia mahali ya makao. Nafikiri najua kuna watu pengine hapa wako na haraka ya kurudi nyumbani. Mimi nataka niwasihi, tafadhali msiwe na haraka ya kurudi nyumbani. Serikali itaangalia maslahi yenu. Na tutatumana experts wakuje waangalie hii sehemu yenu yote. Kama tutapata maelezo kwamba jambo kama hili halitafanyika tena, basi tutawasaidia kurudi pale na kujenga manyumba yenu. Lakini vile vile kama itatokea maelezo ya kwamba hakuna uhakika ya kwamba shida kama hii haitatokea tena, tutakubaliana na nyinyi. Hata kama ni kutafutia nyinyi makao mengine, serikali itanunua hiyo makao ndio muweze kuishi mahali ambapo hamutakuwa na hatari ya kubebwa na janga kama hii tena. Sijui kama tunakubaliana, kwa sababu na sio nyinyi peke yenu, hata wale wengine wote ambao wako katika sehemu kama hiyo, ni vizuri tuketi. Hatutaki turudi tena mahali ambapo mwaka moja, 2, 3 baadaye tuwe na matatizo kama vile tuko nayo saa hizi. So serikali iko na hiyo mpango, na ndio tumeamua leo katika baraza la mawaziri ya kwamba kila sehemu ambapo wananchi wako na iko hatari ya kutokea maporomoko ama kutokea mafuriko, hawa wananchi tutawauliza wahame na tutawasaidia kuwahamisha ili tuweze kuokoa maisha ya wananchi, na itakuwa ni mpango yetu kama serikali kuhakikisha kwamba hiyo kazi inatekelezwa kwa manufaa ya kuhakikisha kwamba maisha ya wananchi iko sawa sawa. Vile vile tumekubaliana ya kwamba wale wote wanaishi kando ya mito pale panaitwa riparian reserve, kuanzia kesho tunawapatia notice, na tumetoa taarifa kama serikali, kwa sababu vile mambo yanavyoendelea tutazidi na kuwa na mvua na mafuriko yatazidi. Masaa 48 kutokea kesho, kila mtu awe ametoka katika hiyo sehemu, na ni katika sehemu zote za Kenya, mji wa Nairobi, miji zile zingine, kwa sababu hatutaki tena kupoteza maisha ya wananchi, na tutaweka mpango ya kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba tutawapatia chakula, tutawapatia malazi, tutawapatia mambo yale mengine yanayohitajika. Tumepitisha pia katika baraza la mawaziri vile serikali itasaidiana na development partners katika harakati hiyo. So mimi nataka niwaombe na niulize Wakenya wote mahali walipo, the mapping that has been done on all fragile areas that are prone to landslides and flooding, we are asking every Kenyan in such areas to leave, because the forecast is that rain is going to continue and the likelihood of flooding and people losing lives is real. And therefore, we must take preemptive action. The military has been mobilized, National Youth Service has been mobilized, all security agencies have been mobilized to assist citizens in such areas to evacuate, to avoid any dangers of loss of life or fatalities, and to avoid any other dangers. We must, all of us, it is not a time for guesswork. We are better off safe than sorry. So tuanze kujipanga namna hiyo. So mimi nataka ni waulize wale wote ambao wanahusika hapa, tuanze kutafuta vile hawa wananchi watoto wao wataenda shuleni, pia na wao watapata mahali ya kuishi na vile wataendesha maisha yao, na tutakuja tuwaeleze, tukubaliane na nyinyi vile tutasonga mbele kutoka hapa. Kwa hivyo madawa yatakuweko hapa Najua nimeambiwa ya kwamba kuna wengine wenu mumepoteza hata IDs na mambo yale mengine. Tutawasaidia. Moses Kuria yuko hapa, ataweka huduma center karibu na nyinyi. Kama umepoteza ID, replace, ndio tuhakikisha kwamba hakuna mtu anahangaika kwa sababu ya kukosa vitambulisho na vitu kama haya. Is there any matters? Yes, pamoja na titles, birth certificates na mambo yale mengine yote tutasaidiana na nyinyi ndio tuweze kutatua matatizo hayo. So poleni tena, tuko na msaada ya kutosha, tuko na chakula ya kutosha, tuko na blanketi ya kutosha, ama namna gani waziri? Yes. Yes, kuja sema hapa.
Your Excellency, we have enough food and non-food items. But when we came with Susan, we have also discovered that hawa wananchi venye walitoka na ile nguo ilikuwa kwa mwili. So we will be mobilizing clothes. We also realize there are very small kids who cannot take porridge. We'll also be mobilizing milk for the children. So tuko na chakula ya kutosha na mahali watahamia tutalete pia chakula nyingine. Asante, Your Excellency.
Na nani atawajengea manyumba waziri? Nani atajenga manyumba ya wananchi?
Okay, pia upande wa manyumba, Your Excellency, umeniuliza na umetupea pesa ambayo tumeweza kununua mabati, na tumesikizana na mheshimiwa gavana wakati atapata mahali penye tunaweza kuwapeleka by Monday. Tutashirikiana pamoja, na hata kama ni tent, Your Excellency, we still have more tents. We have like 10 tents that we can also donate for that purpose. Thank you.
Na baadaye manyumba yao, najua hawa watu walikuwa na mahali ya kuishi, sasa wako kwa hewa. So wacha tu niwahakikishie pale itakapofika kuwajengea manyumba wale wote, tutawajengea manyumba mengine ili kupata mahali ya kuishi. So we are going to see, lakini tuko na mpango ya kuhakikisha kwamba mtakuwa na makao yale makao yenu mlipoteza, sisi tutawasaidia kujenga makao mengine ambayo itawasaidia mahali ya kuishi. Ile mahali tu tutakubaliana na nyinyi ni tunajenga pale, if we have, tukipata hakikisho ya kwamba mambo hayatatokea tena pale, tutawajengea pale. Kama tukiambiwa ya kwamba hakuna hakikisho, then tutakuja tuketi chini tukubaliane na nyinyi. Si namna hiyo? So otherwise nafikiri haya ndio mambo ambayo tulikuja mupate kujua serikali nafikiria nini na tunapanga mambo gani. Tumeamrisha ya kwamba Professor Kindiki na Interior, Ministry of Lands pamoja na special programs na Ministry of Health watafanya kazi kwa pamoja kuhakikisha kwamba hiyo mpango ambayo tumesema kama serikali inatekelezwa, ndio tuweze kuzuia janga kama hii kutokea tena, na pia kusaidia wale wote ambayo tayari wameathirika na janga hili. Kwa hivyo poleni tena watu wa Mai Mahiu. Vile mmesikia gavana amesema, mambo ya mahospitali, mambo ya mazishi, yote yale ambayo itafanyika itagharamiwa na serikali, na pia tugharimu mambo yenu ya baadaye. Yes, na wale wako na watoto ambao wataenda shule baadaye pia tutawasaidia, kwa sababu pengine pesa ilikuwa kwa nyumba ikabebwa na maji, hamuna pesa na hakuna uniform. that watoto wote wamerudi shuleni na wako sawa sawa. So asanteni sana na poleni jameni, poleni sana, poleni tena sana. Nakumbuka nilikuwa hapa kwenu katika ward hii juzi, last week nilikuwa hapa ICD tukipanga vile tunataka kupanua hapo ICD ndio mupate nafasi ya kazi huko. Sasa wale wengine ambao tulikuwa tunawapangia kazi, sasa ndio mambo ndio haya, lakini wale tumebaki tutaendelea na hiyo kazi, tusonge mbele. So poleni, poleni sana. Thank you. Poleni sana. So we are, how do we, how do we do?
Mahimayu at Sungea Secondary School, where he is visiting survivors of the flash floods in the region. The flash floods claimed 70 lives and 28 people are still missing. This as the president is urging people who are living on riparian areas to vacate to avert eventualities, and the president is also keen to see how school-going children who are affected by the flash floods will be able to resume schools next week, Monday. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem, and I take you back to the Parliament buildings for proceedings.
At different stages of consideration of the motion that I have just highlighted to you. Honorable members, in summary, therefore, I wish to guide the House as follows. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Take the nearest seats. Honorable members, I now wish to guide the House as follows. 1, that the proposed motion by the member for Bumula constituency meets the applicable procedural requirements of Standing Order 64 and 66 for it to be admitted and considered by the House. 2, that consequently upon the reading of Order number 6 this afternoon, I will permit the member to give notice of motion for the dismissal of the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development in accordance with the requirements of Standing Order 47-4A. 3, that since today is not a day for debate, in giving notice of the special motion, the member shall limit himself to a summary of its content, state the grounds upon which the special motion has been made, and the names of the members who have appended their signatures in support of the special motion as required under Article 152 of the Constitution and Standing Order 66. That the clerk is hereby directed to publish the special motion for the dismissal of the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Department in the order paper for Thursday, 2nd May 2024, in the manner contemplated under Standing Order 66-3, for consideration by the House during the morning sitting of that day, which has been agreed upon by the House Business Committee. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. Go to order number 6.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Member for Bumula.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(6) of the Constitution and Standing Order 64(1)A and 66, I beg to give notice of the following special motion for removal of Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi, EGH, Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development on the following grounds. 1, gross violation of provisions of the Constitution or any other law. 2, that there are serious reasons believing that the Cabinet Secretary has committed a crime under national law. 3, gross misconduct. This is in relation to the approval of the procurement and distribution of fake fertilizer by the National Cereals and Produce Board and submitting false information to a committee of the National Assembly on the distribution of GPC diatomaceous, which was distributed as a soil conditioner and not as fertilizer.
Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Order.
For the interest of farmers.
Order, honorable members. It is out of order to be on your feet when the Speaker is on his feet. The House is still in session. Those members who want to have conversations, there's a lobby out there, there's a coffee shop out there, and there are rooms for the Speaker which allow you to go and converse behind here. Let's give the House some reasonable silence to hear each other.
Honorable Speaker, do I start?
Yes, no. Continue.
This is in relation to the approval of the procurement and distribution of fake fertilizer by the National Cereals and Produce Board and submitting false information to a committee of the National Assembly on the distribution of GPC diatomaceous, which was distributed as a soil conditioner and not a fertilizer. I have particularized each of the grounds and attached evidence to substantiate each claim. Now, therefore, in accordance with Article 152(6) of the Constitution, this House resolves to recommend to the President to dismiss the Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi from the position of Cabinet Secretary for gross violation of Article 10, 46, 75, and 201 of the Constitution, the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, and the Public Ethics Act 203, and for gross misconduct. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 66, the following members who constitute at least a quarter of the membership of the House have appended their signatures in support of the notice of motion. I will read. 1, the Honorable Wanami Wamboka, the Honorables Joyce Kamene, Raphael Sauti Bita Wanjala, Fatuma Zainab Mohamed, Paul Musimi Nzengu, James Wambura Nyikal, Gideon Mutemi Mulyungi, Julius Musili Mawadhe, Rebecca Nonaishi Tongei, Pauline Lenguris, Yusuf Mohamed Farah, Dick Maungu Oyugi, Irene Nyakerario Mayaka, Anton Tomo Lodge, Marianne Jebet Kitani, Beatrice Kahai Adagala, Adams Kipsaina Korir, Parashina Samuel Sakimba, Anthony Kibagendi, Martin Peters Owino, Catherine Nanjala Wambilianga, Joseph Maero Oyula, Stephen Mogaka, Doris Donya Aburi, Beatrice Kadeveresia Elachi, Shakil Ahmed Shabir Ahmed, Clive Ombane Gisairo, John Walter Owino, Thaddeus Kidhuan Zambia, Elsie Busihile Muhanda, Frederick Lusuli Ikana, Daniel Ogoka Manduku, Mohamed Aden Ado, Patrick Simiyu Baraza, Zamzam Mohamed Chimba, David Losiako Kosin, Daniel Wanyama Sitati, Gadoni Wamuchomba, Mohamed Saud Machele, Samuel Onunga Atandi, Charles Ngusia Nguna, Mwago Amos Maina, James Opio Wandai, Junet Sheikh Nur Mohammed, Obadia Barongo Nolfason, Gertrude Mbeyu Mwanyanje, Geoffrey Makoha Odanga, Hamisi Chome Abdi, Erastus Kivasu Nzioka, Sarah Polata Korere, Kajwang Tom Joseph Francis, Makali Benson Mulu, Guyo Wako Jaldesa, Paul Kahindi Katana, Joshua Aduma Owor, Joshua Oduma Owor, John Mbadi Ngongo, Mishi Juma Hamisi Mboko, Hussein Abdi Bare, Innocent Obiri Momanyi, Millie Grace Akoth Odhiambo, Irene Mudoni Kasalu, Patrick Kibagendi Osero, Jerusha Momanyi Mongina, Joshua Odongo Oron, Abubakar Ahmed Taib, Florence Jematia Segon, John Okwisia Makali, Mangale Munga Chifromondo, Geoffrey Ekesa Mulanya, Timothy Kipchumba Torotich, Ekomas Mwengi Mutuse, Gideon Kimau Kipkoech, Victor Kipngetich Koech, Catherine Nahabi Omanyo, Jepto Ngelechei Caroline, Stephen Mule, Lona Sankare, Peter Nabulindo, Mumina Bonaya, David Mboni, Jen Koyo, Charles Owere, Rashid Juma, Bashir Abdullahi, Abdi Ali, Tungule Kazungu, Ngozi Rai, Hari Kombe, Honorable Timothy Wanyonyi, Haika Mizigi, Fatuma Wajia, Kakuta Maimai, Nabwera Nabi, Innocent Mugabe, Christine Ombaka, Kitilai Olentutu, Joshua Malio, Gidua wa Mashukuru, Mark Mwenje, Geoffrey Ruku, Mary Emase, Eve Obara, Otiende Amolo, Senior Counsel, Peter Orero, Babu Owino, Dr. Joyce Osogo, Amina Mnyazi, Adipo Okwome, J.M. Naika, and Honorable Speaker received even more. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, I'd forgotten Omuher Harun. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Wandai.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me say that this afternoon, I stand before this House a very happy man. Honorable Speaker, today you have made history. I want the Speaker to listen to me. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that today you have made history. And you have put this House on the pedestal of a transformative institution, an institution that adheres to the rule of law and constitutionalism. Honorable Speaker, under Article 152, this motion by the Honorable Jack Wamboka is the last resort that the people of this country, through their elected leadership, can take as a way of holding to account those that have been put in service of the nation.
Order, Honorable Wandai, you are anticipating debate.
I just want to thank you very much.
That is more than thanking the Speaker.
And appeal to my colleague members to turn out in their large numbers. We want this House on Thursday to be full to the brim, so that we can speak in one accord. We can speak in one voice. in defense of the defenseless Kenyan citizen. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Chepkonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, I thought the minority leader just wanted to thank you, not to appeal to us, to do an oversight role, which is guaranteed under Article 95 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, we are aware about that particular provision. So there's nothing to appeal to any of us here. We will play our role when that motion is presented here, Mr. Speaker. I can assure him there's nothing to appeal to us when it's a constitutional requirement for us.
I've already cautioned him. He was touting and soliciting. Honorable members, take your seats. We'll go to order number 8 before we come back to... Let's put the question as order number 8, number 9, 10, and 11. Call out order number 9, sorry.
Eight. Can I start with 8?
The resolution. Okay.
Order number 8, procedural motion, resolution to hold a Thursday morning sitting.
Majority Leader.
Pio. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, 2nd May 2024, commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business ahead of the long recess. Honorable Speaker, I'm sure members will note I have amended the 9:30 that was published in the order paper as agreed by the House Business Committee this morning, that we begin the sitting at 10 a.m. And Honorable Speaker, the reason for having this Thursday morning sitting, as you have ably communicated and following the notice of motion by the Honorable Wanami Wamboka, that motion is time-bound, and therefore we must dispense with it by Thursday. And considering that we are losing a sitting tomorrow afternoon, it's important that we compensate that sitting for tomorrow afternoon with the Thursday morning, and allow me to plead with all members to be available on Thursday, 9:55 a.m. for the House to be able to sit from 10 a.m., consider the business that will be on the order paper, including that motion for impeachment of a cabinet secretary that is time-bound. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to ask members to be available on Thursday. It is also our last sitting day before the long recess, which is a long working recess, and therefore it will be important that we are here in time. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the Leader of Minority to second.
Honorable Wandai.
Sorry, just give me. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of Majority. And Honorable Speaker, really, since tomorrow is a holiday, it's a public holiday, we need to really recover the days we shall have lost tomorrow. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, there are businesses before us that we need to dispense with. We need to dispense with certain businesses before we go on the one-month recess. And top of the agenda is the motion by the Honorable Jack Wamboka that we need to pronounce ourselves on as a House on Thursday, the earliest possible time on Thursday, before we can adjourn for the long recess. Secondly is the IBC Amendment Bill, which is one of the NADCO bills that are being processed by Parliament. Honorable Speaker, this morning we had a session with you under your able chairmanship, and we were able to thrash out some of the sticking issues surrounding that bill, save for one or two, basically one small issue that we shall be dealing with in the course of time between now and Thursday morning. We should be able then, therefore, to dispense with that bill on Thursday at the Committee of the whole House, so that the Senate can be seized of it, for us to be able to have in place a working, functional IBC, Honorable Speaker, in the shortest time possible. So, Honorable Speaker, therefore, I think it is in order for us to support this motion, for us to be able to sit on Thursday in the morning. Even though we have agreed on Thursday at 10 a.m., let us try to be here as early as 9:30 a.m. so that we can deal with these issues properly, honorable members. This is a historic moment. You never get it easily. A whole house, a whole term of parliament can go without you getting an opportunity to deal with a motion such as the one presented by Honorable Jack Wambok. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, 2nd May 2024, commencing at 10 a.m. I believe you moved the motion, Order Majority Leader. You moved the motion in amended form. Commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business ahead of the long recess. I put the question. Honourable members, I now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, 2nd May 2024, commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business ahead of the long recess. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order number 9, motion, report of Committee of the Whole House on the consideration of the Senate amendments to the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023. Question to be put.
Order, members on their feet, take your seats. Order, Honorable Haika, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Senate amendments to the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023. As members of that opinion say aye. As members of the contrary opinion say nay. The nays have it.
Order number 10, motion, providing a safety net for caregivers of persons with severe disabilities. Question to be put.
Order, honorable members on their feet, take your seats. Order. Take your seats. Order. Member for Bumula, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 10, which is that aware that Article 21(3) of the Constitution provides that all state organs have the duty to address the needs of vulnerable groups within the society. Further aware that the Persons with Severe Disabilities Cash Transfer Program is one of the 4 cash transfer programs implemented by the government as part of the overall social protection interventions, noting that the caregivers undertaking the immense responsibility of providing daily care and assistance to persons with severe disabilities, PWSD, are oftentimes the immediate family members of the PWSD, concerned that this causes a disproportionate burden on these families as persons who would otherwise be engaged in gainful employment or other activities to provide for the families are limited by these immense responsibilities. Further concerned that this loss of income opportunities and resources exacerbates the challenges faced by these families, cognizant that the government ought to take action to recognize the invaluable contributions of the caregivers and support them in caring for individuals with severe disabilities. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the government, through the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, recognizes primary caregivers of persons with severe disabilities as a distinct category requiring social protection and support, and further develops and implements a cash transfer program for these primary caregivers. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order number 11, motion, establishment of priority boarding protocol for Kenya Defence Forces and Kenya Special Forces personnel on local airlines. Question to be put.
Order, members on their feet, take the nearest seats. Order. Order. Honourable members, I now put the question at order number 11, which is that aware that Article 239 provides for the national security organs, including the Kenya Defence Forces. Further aware that the Kenya Defence and Kenya Special Forces play an indispensable role in promoting and safeguarding national security in accordance with the Constitution, recognizing that members of these forces face life-threatening risks as they carry out their duties to protect our citizens, particularly in high-risk and volatile areas, noting that there is currently no token of appreciation for the remarkable dedication, service, and sacrifices made by the Kenya Defence and Special Forces, acknowledging that it's important to accord special privileges and honors to our military and veteran personnel, akin to the practice observed in other countries, including being allowed to access services like banking hall and boarding of air or flights ahead of the general public, further acknowledging that this practice will not only instill a sense of pride among the Kenya Defence and Kenya Special Forces personnel, but also enhance their morale and motivation, thereby boosting their performance and commitment to our national security, cognizant of the fact that there exists no national policy or framework to facilitate the implementation of such a practice. Now, therefore, this House urges the national government through the Ministry of Roads and Transport, encourages local airlines to establish a priority boarding protocol for the Kenya Defence and Kenya Special Forces personnel, which grants them the privilege to board local aircrafts before the general public. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. We'll go back to order number 7. Marianne Kitanyi.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of the Standing Order number 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the delay of the Maendeleo ya Wanawake elections. Honorable Speaker, Maendeleo ya Wanawake is a non-governmental organization that deals with women's rights, issues, and gender equity in the country. The organization plays a critical role in advocating for equality and empowerment of women. The management of the Maendeleo ya Wanawake resolved to postpone elections, which were due to be held this year until the year 2028, citing challenges related to the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Consequently, an election board had been constituted to oversee preparations for the next election. Non-governmental organizations are required to operate within the framework provided by the Non-Governmental Organizations Coordination Act and are oversighted by the NGO Coordination Board. Elections are a very important aspect of such an establishment and signifying the adherence to basic values of democracy and good governance. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. One, is that aware that the effects of COVID-19 pandemic are now under control and way behind us. What plans does Maendeleo ya Wanawake have to call for elections at the earliest feasible date? And two, what mechanisms are in place to ensure that the NGOs adhere to existing act? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Marian. Chairman Tongoyo, are you in the House? You bring a response the first week after recess?
I don't know, Honorable Speaker, maybe you guide, because I've listened keenly to the question, and I'm a bit worried it's supposed to be maybe in a different committee, maybe gender, I guess so.
Marian, haven't you misdirected your request? What has Maendeleo Yanwa got to do with the administration and internal security? Is it a national security threat? Why didn't you direct it to the committee of
Honorable
gender?
Speaker, the issue is the Maendeleo Wanawake is an NGO.
Yes.
And it is guided by the NGO Act. That is the
NGO
reason
board.
why it has gone to the Internal Security Docket
I
Committee
see your
because
point.
of that it is an NGO.
I'm satisfied. Tongoyo, you bring a response the first week after recess. The NGO board is under your office, under your care. Gideon Mulyungi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security, regarding the death of one Mr. Benjamin Mwaniki Kadhengu. Honorable Speaker, on the 8th of January 2024, Mr. Benjamin Mwaniki Kadhengu of ID number 103-60586 was brutally murdered within the confines of his home in Hola, Tana River County, under unclear circumstances. The family subsequently filed a report with the Hola Police Station on the 9th of January 2024 under OMB number 32/9/01/2024. Sadly, the family is yet to receive updates regarding the progress of investigations. The lack of information exacerbates the grief experienced by the immediate family, who are further burdened by the unresolved circumstances surrounding Mr. Kadhengu's tragic demise. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. Number one, what is the status of investigations into the circumstances that led to the death of Mr. Benjamin Mwaniki Kadhengu in his house on 8th of January 2024? Number two, what measures has the Ministry of Interior and National Administration put in place to ensure that the family of the deceased gets justice following the murder of their kin? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Tongoyo, first week after recess. Thank you. Next is a response to a question or a statement by George Murugara about the mysterious death of Paris Kanini Mugera. Tongoyo, you have the response?
Yes, I have for two of them. One for Murugara and one for Honorable Kenan.
Start with Murugara's.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as guided, let me start by the statement asked by Mheshimiwa Murugara. Honorable Speaker, the Member of Parliament for the Raka constituency, Honorable George Murugara, has requested for a statement regarding the mysterious death of Ms. Paris Karimi Mugera of the Rakanithi County. Honorable Speaker, the member particularly sought to be informed, one, the status of investigation into the disappearance and mysterious death of Ms. Paris Karimi, including the identity of the killers and their motive. Steps that the government has taken to ensure that all the perpetrators of the disappearance and death of the said person are brought to books for prosecution. Action that the government has taken to ensure the Ms. Paris Karimi family is protected from threat by persons likely to be associated with the death, and the measures that the government has put in place to ensure the safety and the right of expression of all Kenyans, political bloggers, are protected. I state as follows, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Paris, who is aged 38 years and a mother of two, left her home on 29 February 2024 about 1 p.m. and did not return back. Subsequently, her daughter, Shavi Mukami, aged 15 years, reported their disappearance at Chuka Police Station on 4th at around 10:30 a.m. via OB number 36-43 2024. Preliminary investigation indicated that our phone was switched off on 29 February. The signal was last traced on 1st May 2024 at around 1 a.m. at a place called The Fathers toward Nairobi from Embu. Unfortunately, on 1st March 2024, a body was discovered along Makutano-Sagana Highway, Kirinyaga County, and a report made at Kiamashiri Police Station by a member of public via OB number 313224 at around 10:30 a.m. The body was collected by Kiamashiri police officers and moved to Kirugara Referral Hospital mortuary. The relative posteriorly identified the body on 8th, and the same recorded at Chuka Police Station via OB number 4383224 at around 15:10. The postmortem was conducted on 14th at the Kirgoya Referral Hospital County, and the cause of death was indicated to be due to the severe head injury. Further samples were collected from the body for toxicological analysis, whose results are still pending. Investigations are still ongoing with the aim of not only identifying our killers, but also bringing them to books to face the law. The motive of the killing is also yet to be known. Honorable Speaker, our non-cell phone contacts are being analyzed, and several statements are so far been recorded from our known friends and the last person who saw her live. The statements are being analyzed with a view of getting to identify and prosecute perpetrators. Honorable Speaker, the investigation process is a joint coordination of the National Police Service and the family members whom the service has worked with closely since the time her disappearance was reported. So far, no threat has been reported through any mode that is directed to any of the family members. Honorable Speaker, the right of expression of all Kenyans is guaranteed as provided for in the Constitution without discrimination of any nature, regardless of political, social, economic, or any other status. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Signed by Honorable Kidhuri Kindiki, CS for Interior and National Administration.
Honorable Murugara, I believe you have heard the response.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have had a glimpse and I've also listened to the response. The only issue that remains outstanding are the timelines. The telephonic contacts of the last persons to have been with the Perrys were or are being analyzed, but there has to be a speed up because there is a lot of anxiety to the family in the county and everybody who is concerned that this poor lady just died a miserable death and those who killed her are walking around scot-free. So I require a little bit guidelines on what timelines we have.
Tongoyo, mutawashika lini?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really appreciate his concern, but we should also appreciate that majority of these deaths are complex in nature, and our investigative officers need a little bit of time to get deeper into the real cause of all these problems. But I can assure the member and the family and the rest of Kenyans that our officers are really up to the task, and they can able to get to know what really the killers of this innocent lady. Just asking a little bit of patience as our officers carry their duty.
He's talking of timelines, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm saying it's hard for me, Mr. Speaker, to really say that in certainty, taking into account the complicity of this. But the forensic investigators are taking samples. I've actually even discussed with the member, but I will still do my best to try to speed up the investigation.
Okay. Next, you again, in response to a request by Adan Kainan regarding the disappearance of Mr. Omar Mohammed Noor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Once again, on the issue of the question being asked by Honorable Mr. Speaker Adan Kainan, I state as follows. Honorable Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Eldas constituency, Honorable Adan Kainan, has requested, straight to the, So the member for Eldas constituency has requested for a statement regarding the disappearance of Omar. I want to state as follows. Honorable Speaker, on 30th March, at around 9:22 hours, Mr. Hamad Omar, a resident of Wajir County, reported the disappearance of his father, Mr. Omar Mohamed, at Marsabit Police Station, vid OB number 13-30-0324. Omar, age 65 years, is a resident of Eldas Sub-County, Wajir County. He left home on 25th March 2024 in search of his missing camel that had been seen in Shur location in Marsabit North Sub-County. He was later seen in Shur location where he was picked by a white Land Cruiser, and his phone has since been switched off. His general description when he went missing is of brown complexion, with no beard and clean-shaven head, without a headdress, and was wearing a white kanzu on the material date. The case is pending under investigation. Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been put in place to trace the whereabouts of Omar. Circulation details of the missing person, obtaining information from members of the public and analyzing it for the purposes of investigation, conducting physical, detailed search and tracing at the place was last seen. Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been put in place, among others, in order to ensure the safety not only of the business people, but the citizenry in general. Enhanced deployment of police officers across the country, sharing information regarding the missing person with the members of the public, enhancing the capacity of the police officers to deal with the contemporary crimes, and of course even organized ones, the presence of specialized units, e.g. the JSU, DCI, GRU, working in partnership with the members of the public to effectively manage crimes, and the member can of course confirm they're quite formed up unit in that area. The plan decisive operations, mapping out of emerging hotspot areas, enhancing of coordination, command and control of multi-agency security teams, deployment of specialized equipment and motor vehicles to security agencies, engagement of opinion leaders in the communities, recruitment, training and deployment of NPR, enhanced community policing programs, sustaining high-level political engagement, ensuring the use of alternative dispute resolution mechanism, the fast-tracking the appointment and deployment of administrative officers to still fill the vacant administrative unit, fast-tracking and enhancing implementation of socio-economical program. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Signed by Kinduri Kindiki, the CS Interior. Mr. Speaker, maybe I'll let the member. I want to say, of course, that we have been having a lot of cases of missing persons in the last several months, and I'm sure a majority of the members here can able to confirm that our police officers and officers have really tried and done their best to work around the clock to ensure that they do what they're supposed to do. But for this member, maybe the honorable member, I don't know, I haven't talked to him again, but lastly, like what happened in Tana River, there are quite a number, about 4 or so, who disappeared, went missing, but in the course of investigation and searching, they were found. And so I pray that even this one, our police officers keep searching, even the communities, that the member is a senior member in that community can help the officers in tracing these missing persons.
Do you have any?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while really appreciating the response by the chair, I think most of the answers given are futuristic. This person has been missing from 30th March this year. The Speaker has alluded to the fact that there are still many people who still go missing. The circumstances are different. This case was reported to the DCI office in Marsabit. They were given lead information. They are yet to apprehend any of the individuals, the other suspects who are named by the people with information. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the Criminal Investigation Office in Marsabit has not been responsive on this particular issue, and therefore as far as the public opinion in that particular region is concerned, there must be particular information that they're hiding actually from the public. So I want to ask the chairman, and I really understand the difficulties in responding, because it's just a messenger. He's giving information. That's why maybe he's giving information from the CS internal security to Parliament. I understand the limitations and the difficulties. But then this answer does not address anything at all. If anything, it is futuristic. It talks about training, KPR, filling vacancies of administrative. I mean, that is extremely good, and we require them. But under the circumstances, Mr. Speaker, this person is missing. No effort has been made other than reporting. The investigative office in that particular area is not responding. If anything, when you ask them a question, they say, we'll advise. We'll advise is not an answer. Mr.
This committee and other committees, and indeed the control of budget and the PIC committee, must sit down and begin to engage ourselves. What exactly are we going to do with these outstanding bills, including the pending bills, including NSSF, including the deductions that are going to government, so that we can streamline the functions of our county government so that they can effectively work. Challenges that we face, Mr. Speaker, and analysis with our chairman. The governors have always raised the issue of exchequer releases. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that even when the Senate does not receive its exchequer releases on time, at least right now, Kisii County government is not complaining that salaries have not been paid. Mr. Speaker, we have had cases where governors are mutilating budgets. After the county assemblies pass their budgets, the governors change the budgets because they want to go and transfer money to the areas where they want to spend that money. Members of the county assemblies are challenged. Many of them are saying what they're being paid is not enough. And yet in reality, we say how they are compromised and they are not doing their oversight role, and we should make sure that we control the members of the county assembly. My position, Mr. Speaker, let us try and elevate what the members of the county assembly are earning from the 98,000 shillings, and let us make sure that we provide them autonomy from the money which is being controlled by governors, even when the assembly is supposed to be independent and is supposed to be oversighting the governors. Many of the governors are unable to pay money to FLOCA, money to NAGRIP. These conditional grants require reciprocal funds, so that then the county government, like Kisii County, just released, I think yesterday, money for FLOCA. And it was only 10 million that was needed, Mr. Speaker. And the amount of money we are getting from International Development Organization and the World Bank will be about 410 million shillings. And NAGRIP, you see donor funds which are coming in, and everybody says how they don't see what these funds are doing. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, on finishing, let us, as the House, make sure we conduct our oversight role. Mr. Speaker, finally, I beg this House, let's get out of Nairobi. Let us go on Senate Mashinani. Let us go and see the projects that county governments are doing. Let us talk to the public. That is how we can build confidence on our country and make sure that the public gets the services they get. I hope that we'll be able to get the funds which finally can build a library like the one which is in Nairobi, beautifully architecturally as an African drum design, which has got all the books in the world. But if you look at the libraries we have in our county governments, they are despicable and they look pathetic. How I wish we can figure out how to pay our ECD teachers, because that's the foundation under which these teachers are building the future children, the future leaders of tomorrow, like Boni Halwale, who will become doctors and lawyers, like my Secretary General, Honorable Sifuna. And my sister, Madam, tell who? And Mr. Speaker, I would want the ECD teachers to also produce children who are going to be as wonderful as Madam Gloria Oluroba and all the ladies I see in this house fighting for the change and development of our country. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I say I give credit to this committee, and I hope that we will move in next year. We increase the amount, so long as the governors promise that they are going to be responsible, they are not going to misuse our money, and they are going to be people who will be seen as the future custodians of our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Mr. Speaker, I want to support the Division of Revenue Bill. And governors, what's wrong with my speaker, Mr. Speaker?
You're on, Senator Karen. You may proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I want to support this bill, and I want to urge the counties and the county government to be contented with the 391.1 billion that we are allocating to them, which translates to about 25% of the money that the government collects. Mr. Speaker, the government is already grappling with financial constraints due to lack of an access of finance in both local and the international markets. The President has been in the forefront, Mr. Speaker, urging us all to live within our means. Let us avoid over-ambitious budgets which lead to corruption and stalled projects, Mr. Speaker. A report by the Controller of Budget indicates that most counties are actually spending 75% of money allocated to them to recurring expenditure that is mainly salaries against the regulations of the finance management provisions that indicate it should be at least 35% of that money that goes to salaries, Mr. Speaker. There's also the question of accountabilities. A lot of governors are not able to account to the money that already comes to them. County governments should also seek to settle all eligible pending bills and avoid the stalling of projects, Mr. Speaker. And with those few remarks, I support.
Senator Oburu Oginga.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to add my voice to this bill. And Mr. Speaker, I want to support the report by our Finance and Budget Committee recommending an increment over and above the one by the Commission for Revenue Allocation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm doing this because I'm very happy with the way the Senate is this time handling this particular issue, this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, last year, when we discussed this issue, we were divided, and we were arguing whether to increase or not to increase, or whether to increase to the level recommended by the CRA or to leave it at the level which was passed by the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, today we are having a very, very substantial increase recommended by our own Finance and Budget Committee, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, when you increase the allocation from 385 billion to 391, that increase of 6 billion, Mr. Speaker, does not even meet the inflation. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you talk of increment, there is increment in nominal terms and there is increment in real terms. And when you talk of increment in real terms,
first of all, you take into consideration the inflation. Then you knock out the inflation and you consider whether you have actually increased the budget. And Mr. Speaker, when you don't take that into consideration and you just talk about the nominal increment, you are actually missing the point, because you are giving them less than what it is. If it is less than the increment in terms of the inflation. So, Mr. Speaker, this increment, as recommended by our Finance and Budget Committee, will go a long way in meeting some of the requirements, some of the needs of the counties. Mr. Speaker, having spoken about the need to increase the allocation to the counties, I also want to say that our counties need to be tightly controlled. We need to have control measures to make sure that they don't pocket monies which are meant to offer services to our people. Mr. Chairman, in Nigeria, Mr. Speaker, in Nigeria, when devolution was introduced, more than 50% of the governors went to jail because they did not know how to run a devolved system. They thought it was devolving corruption. They thought it was devolving eating of money. And Mr. Speaker, sir, after tight measures were introduced, devolution is now functioning very well. In our country, we have not managed. We hear governors are being interrogated here and there, but none of them ever goes where they should be. Some of them who steal money from the public, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is also the issue of pending bills. These pending bills is killing businesses. Pending bills, Mr. Speaker, is making the life very difficult for people who are not paid. And instead of reducing the pending bills, I have seen the list of pending bills, Mr. Speaker, sir. There are counties who are actually increasing the pending bills. Their pending bills are going up instead of reducing, Mr. Speaker. This is very serious because the counties are supposed to take into consideration the people to whom they are offering services. And if they are still adding on to what is already a big problem, Mr. Speaker, this is serious and the Senate needs to take cognition of this and take some measures to deal with such counties who are, instead of reducing, they are actually increasing the pending bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not want to say much more on this issue, only to say that the statutory deductions, when counties make statutory deductions from their employees, and they also make such as NSSF, such as National Hospital Insurance Fund, such as the pay as you earn, they retain these revenues and then they use them. They convert them into their own use, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very serious matter because there are people who are supposed to earn pensions. They cannot get their pensions because there are no remittances. People want to access hospitals. They cannot access hospitals because the counties have not remitted money to pay for the hospital insurance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is an issue which also needs serious attention because the counties are not supposed to use monies which they have deducted from their employees. This is not part of their their money, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is the own source revenue. Mr. Speaker, the own source revenue is an area where counties can get additional money to supplement the equitable share from the national government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, but some counties leave a lot of loopholes, and they don't even want to go modern. They don't want to go modern by using electronic means of collecting money, which is more efficient in collection and
Senator, your time is up. He's not requested for more time, or he definitely would have given him additional time. Senator Lomenen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's time to support this bill from the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Senate is not a problem. We always allocate funds to the counties, but the problem is the counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is problem in the counties because, one, the value of money. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was formerly a member of the National Assembly, and I was supervising CDF. We found building a class in CDF, Mr. Speaker, was worthy 2 million. But when you find the cost of a class in the county, you will find it is almost 4 million or 5 million. So you wonder, Mr. Speaker, this fund that comes from the CDF, it is the same money that comes from this government. So the value of money, Mr. Speaker, funds are misused. Second, Mr. Speaker, sir, the other thing that we are really worried, if you find in the counties, and I think the chairman for PIC and PAC is here, you will find, Mr. Speaker, sir, most of the projects are white elephants. And this is big projects which is worthy millions. They are not completed. I even up to now, if we get into these areas, and I think those members of Senate who went for Senate Mashinani, they saw with their naked eyes, they observed how these projects are still not complete. Because of this projects that are not complete, and the community needs these projects. For example, if an health center or an hospital is not complete, when will these people from this location or from this from the sub-county will use these services? When will be these services offered? So, Mr. Speaker, sir, when funds are allocated to the county, when they reach the county, Mr. Speaker, sir, the priorities are diverted. The governor and the executives and the people who work together, they decide to divert the funds to projects that are so comfortable to them. And then the community is left wondering, in search for water, in search for food, in search for health services, in search for school fees. They are just left wondering, Mr. Speaker. So one thing that we are really saying, we will not try to do our oversight. But something, Mr. Speaker, that I want to say, that it's like senators who do oversight, when they try to exercise their responsibility, which is constitutional, to the county. The county feel hurt that why should the senators oversight? This is our constitutional role, and we will ensure any public fund that is given to the county, we will oversight until the end of until the end of our age, because it is our responsibility, Mr. Speaker, sir. The other thing, Mr. Speaker, sir, one thing that we are also realized, the issue of pending bills. Pending bills is becoming a problem. Before pending bills are being paid, there are things that are considered, politics comes in. The current governor will say, no, he is not paying those paying bills because he doesn't know what happened, the procurement process, whatever. But yet, during the handing over, he received all these pending bills, he received the handing over report. Before, he could have denied and say, let the audit first done to these audit pending bills or the pending incomplete projects before he pays. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, so that now pending bills amount of pending bills are so much. So when we allocate these funds even to the county, you find if the good political will be there, all these funds will be paid to the pending bills. And there will be inadequacy of public services to the community. So, but what will we do, Mr. Speaker? We have to pay because these contractors who offer their services to the county, they have children, they have families, they have needs, they have to be paid. There is no excuse. We have to pay before we continue because they live in this county and they are very ready to offer their services because they are Kenyans and they deserve to be paid. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that we are all observed, that the right priorities should be done. If it is water, let the community get the water. If the issue of the health center or hospital, it is not in order, Mr. Speaker, sir, for a county like maybe Marsabit or a county like Turkana to move 150 kilometers just because of referral cases, just because there is lack of drugs or health services in the specific hospital. And yet, we allocated the same funds with these other counties that you are referring for referral. Mr. Speaker, sir, we should be self-contained with these funds that we have been given. We have to make these funds, these funds should meet the right priorities from the citizen. Because sometimes, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have to carry needs assessment so that you know the problems the community are facing. They will talk, they know better than you. But if the
Senator Lomen, and your time is up. Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to share a few thoughts with regards to this particular bill that is necessitated with the conversations that we are invited to, actually in both Article 203 of the Constitution and 204 of the Constitution, because I know that this bill has actually given about 7.8 billion shillings for equalization fund, which is going to go to counties as well. But, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to speak to two things because of the pressure of time that I'm going to be under. If I had the 20 minutes, I could have talked about other adventurous things, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to jog our minds, this particular bill projects that we will have a revenue allocation for the year 2024-2025 estimated at 2.9 billion. 2.9 trillion. And Mr. Speaker, out of this 2.9 trillion, this bill as proposed, again, based on what the Treasury had brought Treasury had proposed that the national government share of this 2.9 trillion should be 2.5 trillion. And if you do the math, Mr. Speaker, that will represent 86.47% of the total revenue that we are projecting. And then the Treasury did propose that the county government should get 391 billion. And Mr. Speaker, if you do the math, the share of that would be 13.3% of that total revenue that we project, Mr. Speaker. Of course, the dictates of Article 203, Mr. Speaker, requires that in this kind of division, we should be able to allocate at least 15% of the last audited financial reports, Mr. Speaker. Now, the last audited financials in the country, Mr. Speaker, were the financials of 2020, 2021, Mr. Speaker. So that means that if we were to go with what the government is, or rather the National Treasury was proposing, Mr. Speaker, then the equitable share will be about 24% of that last audited financials, Mr. Speaker. And I think that when you do that math, then it looks very, very lucrative, as if you have given counties so much money. But in the thickness of things, Mr. Speaker, that would only mean that the increase to the county governments based on what we gave them last year would only be 1.5%, Mr. Speaker. And I'm glad that this committee, after doing some maths and looking at a number of things, Mr. Speaker, the Finance Committee did propose 415.9 billion as the equitable share that we should be able to give to counties, Mr. Speaker. And I think that this is something that the House should rally behind, as well as the National Assembly. I mean, because, Mr. Speaker, the kind of pressures that the counties are facing today, Mr. Speaker, are so many. And there has to be, the word equitable share must be equitable, both in meaning and in deed. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the growth factors of our revenue, Mr. Speaker, that do affect us nationally, Mr. Speaker, there are a number of things that we must start fighting for, Mr. Speaker. Number one thing that we do care about as a committee, and I do care about personally, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that inflation and the cost of goods and services, Mr. Speaker, don't get to be considered when you only use either previous year's baseline or when you only use the previously audited finances, Mr. Speaker. Then it leaves the national government benefiting from the fact that their revenue growth does cater for their budget's inflationary issues as well as the cost of goods and services, Mr. Speaker. And I think this was a lacuna in law under Article 203, which I think that this House, because we have got medical conversations that are going on, we must actually press to be able to adjust on that particular aspect, so that when we're doing revenue allocation, Mr. Speaker, we can be able to look at the adjustment factors in terms of those growth factors, including things like high cost of living, cost of goods and services, as well as inflation issues that we have in the country at any given point, Mr. Speaker. The second and the last thing I want to talk about, Mr. Speaker, is that we are passing the financial year 2024-2025 when the last audited finances were done by the National Assembly in 2020-2021. Mr. Speaker, it's imperative that we must take an opportunity either to amend the Constitution or adjust the existing laws that can be able to compel the National Assembly to be able to work within the speed so that we always have the audited finances to be the nearest possible the financial year that we are passing, Mr. Speaker. So for instance, right now, Mr. Speaker, if we base the sharing of this revenue on 2020-2021, and we're passing 2024, 2025, Mr. Speaker, is completely eroded to county governments. It is not equitable. It cannot be able to help them match the needs of what they are working on, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, we must also cushion our governors from making commitments that are on national functions, Mr. Speaker. And sometimes even making those commitments when end that, it clouds back on them. For instance, Mr. Speaker, we have seen these things like parks that are being built in counties. We have seen things like health promoters that we see the sharing between the national government and the counties. And then our governors end up committing blindly to this.
Senator Eddie, your time is up. Senator Mofaya Gataya Mwenda.
Honorable Speaker, may I take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to support this very important bill? Considering the fact that our core business as Senate is to make sure that we have passed the relevant bills, make sure that counties get money. Because Article 96, Honorable Speaker, dictates that the Senate represents the counties and serves to protect the interests of the counties and their governments. 2, the Senate participates in the lawmaking function of the Parliament by considering, debating, and approving bills concerning counties as provided in Article 109 to 113. At the same time, Honorable Speaker, the Senate participates in the oversight of state officers by considering and determining any reallocation to remove or whatever, so many other things, Honorable Speaker. By so saying, Honorable Speaker, I'm happy by what the Committee on the Finance has just done, because we have increased the money that is supposed to go to counties. But, Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting, Honorable Speaker, that we have witnessed a lot of rampant corruption in counties because we have devolved corruption, we have devolved nepotism, we have devolved a lot of things that are not supposed to be done. And I think it's the high time that, Honorable Speaker, as a House, we are supposed to pronounce ourselves. And I admire what Senator for Garissa just stated, that this House should bestow itself with that responsibility of make sure that we try to rate our governors and their performance. We don't want to have some elements of infrastructure or any other organ for that matter trying to engage the performance of governors. It is this House which is charged with that responsibility of making sure that we rank our governors as per performance and those who are putting public money prudently. So it is that time, Honorable Speaker, that once we devolve the money, we sometimes become audacious because money has been squandered, money has been eaten, people have rooted a lot of money all the way, and maybe after 2-3 years, that report finds its way to this House. It is the high time, Honorable Speaker, that we are supposed to make sure that we are hands-on to make sure that whatever we devolve to our counties, to our governors, is used prudently for the interests of those people whose that money is supposed to serve. Honorable Speaker, I have seen quite a number of us, even in the previous regime. People come here and say, oh, the governors are doing this and that, but once you become a governor, from maybe Senate, from the National Assembly, the trend just is the same. I think it's that time we must stop this hypocrisy and make sure that we have to manage what we normally say. Because maybe in the next 2-3 years, some of us here will be governors down in the relevant counties. We expect a shift from the norm, that where people are making sure that they are beating people's money, where services are not rendered, and it's the time, Honorable Speaker, that we must practice what we preach. Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Okongo Mogeni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the bill that is before us. That's the Division of Revenue Bill 2024. Mr. Speaker, first, we cannot, as senators, say that we are happy with the allocation of 391 billion. Certainly our counties deserve to get more resources. The national government continues to remain with a huge chunk of revenue that we collect nationally. So we must continue, Mr. Speaker, agitating for county governments to get more resources. But then the resources will, as we always say here, they will never be impactful, Mr. Speaker, unless they are used well and for the benefit of the people that we represent, Mr. Speaker. I don't know the experience from other counties, but 12 years into devolution, my governor has not tarmacked even 1 kilometer of a road in the county of Nyamira. You can imagine, 1 kilometer of a road. Every money that is sent to Nyamira, all that the governor can do is to use Maram. That's the only mark that we have for him. And Senator Gloria knows that. Senator Methu is saying, I'm lucky. I don't think so. We can use this money better, Mr. Speaker, because, you know, tarmacking 1 kilometer is low density. Can take up to 40 million. So if you have an allocation of 400 million, in one financial year, you can do up to 10 kilometers. And that can transform counties. If you take a county like Nyamira, which is not huge in terms of acreage, you can do a lot, Mr. Speaker. But I'm also, so our governors really need to wake up so that they can join the efforts by the government to progressively transform our counties. Mr. Speaker, I'm one of those lucky senators that fiscal capacity and fiscal efficiency is not one of the perimeters we use to share revenue. Because if we invoked that parameter, I will immediately lose money. Because my county, my county of Nyamira, our accounts have moved from being qualified to adverse. Meaning I can see there is a proposal that fiscal capacity and efficiency of county governments be introduced as one of parameters. We want to really advise our governors to spend our money more efficiently, have more accountability, and reduce wastage in our counties. And also know that money that is sent to counties is not meant to reward relatives or friends. You know, you can imagine, I saw last week, His Excellency the President was hosting a conference on, you know, the ballooning wage bill. But at the same time, in the county of Nyamira, we were shooting up our wage bill to wallop 71% of the allocation that is given to the county government of Nyamira. In just one financial year, we started by employing 300, and then we added another 200, so that's 500. And we are not picking children of the poor, the needy. It's just packing the county with cronies, relatives, you know, which is very, very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. So I think there is something that we need to do as senators. You know, Mr. Speaker, I was reading the Constitution, and I saw Article 2542 says that as a Senate, we have powers to summon an independent office holder or any commission to come and give us a report as a House. And I think it's high time that we called EACC, the 5 commissioners and the CEO, to come here and appear before the Committee of the Whole. Then they tell us what are they doing to deal with corruption in our counties, Mr. Speaker. Me and you cannot move to our respective counties and arrest our governors. The only people who have that power is EACC, DCI, and the ODPP, you know. And this idea of every day we are speaking on this floor, we are saying governors are corrupt, but you see nothing. I heard Senator Oburu give an example of Nigeria, that when they introduced theirs is also a system of a devolved system of government, though they have states. He says many governors were locked up because of stealing public resources. But 12 years into devolution in this beautiful country called Kenya, not even one person has gone to jail. Whereas the national government is saying, let us reduce wage bill. Some counties like Nyamira, we have ballooned our wage bill to take 71% of the resources that we send to our counties. Really, that is not the way to transform our country. Such a governor wants us to remain the way we are. The way Moi used to say, mukae hivyo hivyo. We don't want to kaa hivyo hivyo. We want our country to be transformed. We want our country to change. We want to drive to our homes through tarmac roads, not maram roads. Mr. Speaker, 60 years after independence, we need better quality of life for our people, Mr. Speaker. The vision of the government is to reduce the maram roads in our country. We will never achieve that unless the county government and the national government share the same vision. Finally, I hope that the National Assembly will fast track the auditing and approval of our accounts so that we move closer to dealing with audited accounts of the previous financial year. I think we are now dealing with the 2019-2020. That's a very skewed way of sharing revenue, Mr. Speaker. So we call upon our brothers to also fast track the approval of the audited accounts so that we can at least move closer in terms of the accounts that we use as a basis of sharing money. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Senator Mohammed Abdallah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, this House is in charge of devolution, and we have seen that devolution is working. And unless we protect it jealously, we will make it work even better, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know that there are some governors who are misappropriating funds, but that should not be a reason for us to say that we are going to punish all the governors because of one or two mistakes of individual governors. This House, we are supposed to do oversight on the county government. And that is the role which we are supposed to play. And by doing oversight, we are supposed to establish the loopholes, the issues, the challenges, and problems which are faced which are facing the county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the budget, from the time our constitution was inaugurated, you will realize the increase of the national government budget is increasing by trillions. But when you look at the budget of the counties, it is only increasing by few billions. So this is one area whereby we need to support and make sure that we give enough funds to our counties for the counties to grow and develop. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the problems we are facing now, the challenges which are facing devolution functions, I want to give an example of the health and agriculture. Those two functions are devolved functions, and now they are faced with a lot of serious problems, Mr. Speaker. And these are problems which are created by the national government for lack of trying to work together with the national government to improve and sort the problems and challenges faced by the county government. Mr. Speaker, when we deny funds to the county governments, we are trying to kill the devolution. There are issues whereby sometimes there are a lot of delays in the release of funds. These are really causing a lot of confusions and trying to make the devolution not work. So, Mr. Speaker, by increasing funds to the county governments, we are building the counties, we are building devolution, and we want to see that the county government and the national government are working hand in hand to sort the existing issues which are facing the counties so that we see the devolution working properly and to see that the results of devolution are felt in the grassroots level. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, there being no other member who is interested in contributing to this bill, I call upon the mover to reply. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to appreciate our colleagues who have taken time to speak to this very important motion. The annual division of revenue bill is perhaps the single most important legislation in terms of fulfillment to our core mandate and reason for existence as an institution. And therefore, to do this annual ritual, so to speak, Mr. Speaker, I must appreciate our colleagues who have shared their thoughts and views, but most importantly, all in one concerted effort agreed to the need to properly fund our counties, notwithstanding the many cases of misuse of resources at the county level, Mr. Speaker, and have risen above, Mr. Speaker, the petty, sometimes very partisan politics that arises during division of revenue, Mr. Speaker, and disagree on things which we need not disagree on. Mr. Speaker, this House has gone through, we have gone full circle. Sometimes, and I said this last year, that I see colleagues who want to reduce this debate sometimes to be about how did you vote in last year alone. I would have them check the records and appreciate that at one time, the Senate has actually stood firm and being left as alone by standard, that everybody deserted us, from the national government, Mr. Speaker, to the members of the county assembly, and finally, 4 months into the financial year, the governor has also called a press conference and said, Senate should stop dilly-dallying, pass the damn thing as it is. Therefore, the history of this House and, Mr. Speaker, our fight for better resources to the counties is replete with acts of great sacrifice by senators. Mr. Speaker, you know for a fact that the biggest single-year leap that we've ever had as a House is from 316 to 370. And many people know what happened that particular financial year before we achieved that great milestone, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to agree with colleagues that we need to progress this bill, conclude on it, resource our counties properly so that as they begin the financial year, we are moving together in one accord. Final point, Mr. Speaker, I had one colleague mention of the need for us to engage perhaps more deeply with the institutions of oversight. Senate is only one, but there are other organs of oversight that can help us tame wanton corruption in our counties, Mr. Speaker. Perhaps it is time to consider a conference and that will have an exit, Mr. Speaker. The annual legislative summit was supposed to achieve that, but unfortunately, it has been reduced sometimes to a shouting match. Remember from the very first ones where we went, and it was just all about car grant and other mundane things, Mr. Speaker. Perhaps we as an institution have had EACC being mentioned, the Office of the Auditor General, the Office of the Controller of Budget, and the Office of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, between those four institutions, we can come up with sound resolutions that will ensure that we tame the want-away corruption in our counties, Mr. Speaker. And I don't think it is beyond our budget and organization skills for us to retreat. And perhaps that is food for thought for your office as a Speaker and the leadership of this House, that later on, when we have the next monthly recess, to perhaps consider a day or two where we can retreat and raise this issue. There is nothing new that you're doing as a senator in raising these issues on the floor of the House. You know, there's no difference, Senator Mogeni, between you and the villager in Keumbu at a funeral who's crying that their resources are being pilfered. You're also in the Senate doing the same. They expect us to do better than that. And therefore, I think we need to go beyond the obvious bickering, Mr. Speaker, that we have become so accustomed to, and come up with sound policies, Mr. Speaker, between those four institutions of oversight to ensure that devolution succeeds. With those very merit remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply.
Honorable members, we will go to division on this particular bill, and I will direct the clerk to ring the quorum bell for 5 minutes.
Well, the division of the revenue bill 2024 is the business that was on the floor of the House, or that is currently on the floor of the Senate chambers. And the debate on this bill resumed this afternoon, and there was limitation of debate for the members, each of the member being allocated 7.5 minutes to be able to give their opinion and views on the proposals of this bill. Remember, this is the bill that is from the National Assembly and co-sponsored by the leader of the majority party at the Senate. And some of the contents of the bill is on the allocation that will be going to the counties, with the senators fronting for 415 billion Kenya shillings to be allocated to the counties. This is the revenue raised nationally, equitable sharing of the revenues raised nationally between the national and the county governments for the 2024-2025. The National Assembly had proposed that the counties receive 391 billion, and from what we saw from the members of the Senate is that the counties need enough money to be able to undertake the functions that have been moved to the counties, including the disaster management and emergencies response, such as the floods that has been that actually is being witnessed at the moment. There were also issues by the members on the accountability of the accounting officers on the money that is being sent to the counties, and a number of issues. But just remember, one thing is that this is part of the budget processes that is being done by the Parliament, and the limitation of the debate was for the members of the Senate to be able to conclude on this bill, the debate on this bill. Remember, it's a bill at its second reading stage, where debate normally takes place for the members to be able to give in or add on their views on the proposals of the debate. So what now is happening is that it's a division bill. The members will be coming back to vote on whether the bill to be read for the second.
Honorable members, order, honorable members. Senator Kajwang, order, honorable members. Senator Chairman, Senator Roba. Senator Roba. Order, members. Senator Eddy, take your seats. Senator Eddy, take your seat. Honorable members, I want you to assume your seats so that we ascertain the numbers for purposes of voting. Members, I'm informed you've got the requisite numbers. We are going to, Sergeant at Arms, could you please draw the bar and close the door? You may also proceed, Sergeant at Arms, to withdraw the cards from delegate units which are not attended. Honorable members, this will be an electronic vote. Honorable senators, order members. Honorable senators, I now put the question that the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of 2024 be now read a second time. Members, you may start voting. Order, order, honorable members. We are yet to announce the results of this vote. Honorable members, we now have the results of the vote. Yes, 25, nays 0, abstentions 0. The ayes have it. Sergeant at Arms, you may now draw
a bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable division of revenue raised nationally between the national and county governments in the 2024-2025 financial year and for connected purposes.
Now, Sergeant at Arms, you may open the door and draw the bar. Honorable members, earlier on, I had rearranged the order paper to facilitate the voting, the debate and conclusion and voting on the bill, which have just concluded. And we will go back to the order paper as had earlier on. And therefore, I will allow statements to continue. And this is Honorable members' statements, pass one to Standing Order 56(1)B of the standing orders of this House. It's here. Sure. The chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads, Senator Karungu Thangwa. Senator Gloria, Senator Cherargei, Senator Eddy, resume your seats to allow Senator, the chairperson of Roads, to read his statement. Proceed, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise pass one to Standing Order 56(1)B to make a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing for the period commencing 1st January 2024 to 31st March 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing is established under Standing Order 228(3) of the Senate Standing Orders and is mandated to consider all matters relating to transport, roads, public works, housing, construction, and maintenance of roads, rails, and buildings, seaports, and communication. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under consideration, the committee held 16 sittings and conducted the following business. A, bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee considered the following bills. The committee considered the Public Transport Motorcycle Regulation Bill 2023, that is Senate Bills number 38 of 2023, that is sponsored by Senator Dr. Boni Kalwale, MP, and will consider the committee stage amendments and table its report on the bill in the next report period. The committee considered the National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, that is National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2022. The committee will consider and adopt the report on the bill for tabling in the next reporting period. The committee, Mr. Speaker, also considered the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, and tabled its report on the bill on 7th March 2024. Legislative proposals. The committee considered the legislative proposal by Senator Fatuma Dulo, CBS MP, on the Street Naming and Property Addressing System Bill 2023, and recommended its publication with proposed amendments. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee is considering the legislative proposal by Senator Christo Asige, MP, on Transport Laws Universal Design Amendment Bill 2024 and is expected to conclude its consideration in the next reporting period. Petitions. Mr. Speaker, sir, 2 petitions are pending before the committee as follows. One petition, which was presented to the Senate on 18th October 2022 by Senator Moses Kajwang, MP, and was thereafter committed to the committee. The committee met with the petitioners, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Road and Transport, and Kenya Ports Authority. The committee is scheduled to undertake a visit to Mfangano Island and thereafter draft the report for submission in the House. Petition 2, Mr. Speaker, is a petition concerning the title deeds for properties bought at Jamii Bora Estate, Kisaju, Kajiado County. The petition was committed to the committee on 14th March 2023. The petitioners bought houses and shops on off-plan housing scheme from Jamii Bora Charitable Trust, but were never issued with title deeds to those houses built in Jamii Bora Estate since the year 2008 to date. The petitioner therefore sought the intervention of the Senate to have them issued with title deeds for their properties. The committee met and received submission from the petitioners, Kajiado County Government, Business Registration Services, State Department for Lands and Physical Planning, and Kingdom Bank. The committee is to hold a conclusive meeting with all stakeholders and table a report in the next reporting period. Statements. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, 16 statements were referred to the committee for consideration. 1. Status of the Lodwar Court building in Turkana by Senator James Lomenen, MP. And 2, barabara zinazomilikiwa na mamlaka ya kura katika kaunti ya Mombasa iliyoletwa na Senator Mohamed Faki, MP. The following 3 statements were considered but not concluded because the committee sought supplementary information. 1. Repair of rails vandalized during the public demonstration at the Mlolongo Pay Point on the Nairobi Expressway. It was requested by Senator Enoch Wambua, MP. Kuzorota kwa miundombinu na huduma katika jengo la Bima Towers katika kaunti ya Mombasa, aliyeuliza ni Senator Mohamed Faki, MP. And 3, status of completion of Bunge Tower by Senator Mohamed Chute, MP. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee adopted a methodology for consideration of statements where it invites senators who request for statements referred to the committee before seeking a response from the relevant government agencies. This is meant to reduce the number of supplementary issues that arise during consideration of responses to the statements. Mr. Speaker, sir, 15 statements referred to the committee are at different stages of consideration as indicated in the attached annex. And Mr. Speaker, it's good to note the reason why we adopted this methodology is because we feel the statements are over-edited before they appear or before they are read in this House. So we invite the senators before that so that they can give us the original statements before we send to the relevant departments. Mr. Speaker, sir, inquiries. The committee is undertaking an inquiry into the Urban Regeneration and Renewal Program of the County Government of Nairobi, which intends to demolish 13 estates, majority of which are in Nairobi County, and redevelop the estates under the Affordable Housing Program. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee is concerned with the manner in which the County Government of Nairobi is undertaking the program without carrying out meaningful public participation by the residents of the targeted estates and the issuance of threats to the officials of the States Residents Association who have raised issues with the manner in which the program is being carried out. The committee met with the Governor of Nairobi County and received submission on the Urban Regeneration and Renewal Program. The committee and the County Government of Nairobi agreed that the project should not commence until adequate and meaningful public participation with the residents of the affected estates is undertaken and a memorandum of understanding signed. Messages. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee received a message for consideration jointly with the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources. The message was from the County Assembly of Nyandarua regarding a resolution by the County Assembly to petition the Senate to consult with and initiate approval of the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, the Kenya National Highway Authority, KENHA, the Kenya Forest Service, KFS, and the Kenya Wildlife Service, KWS, in the Ihithe Aberdare Forest, Kauroko, Ndonyonjeru Road construction and tamaking project. The Joint Committee awaits the outcome of the report on comments on the Environmental Impact Assessment, EIA, and Environmental Social Impact Assessment, ESIA, study on the proposed construction on the road. But it's also good to report that the road is set to start construction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, challenges. The committee experienced the following challenges. 1, delayed response by county governments. The committee experienced cases of delayed response to information sought from county governments. This arises from unclear responsibilities in the county governments on who is to act on issues sought by the committee. County government should be encouraged to establish legislative desks to handle issues emanating from Parliament and county assemblies. And it's also good to note, Mr. Speaker, that the committee has fined governors who have not been able to attend to the committee, Mr. Speaker. And finally, the second challenge, Mr. Speaker, is non-attendance of meetings for consideration of responses to statements by senators who requested the statements, Mr. Speaker. This delays conclusion of the statements. It's also good to note, Mr. Speaker, the next time I'm coming here to give a report like this one, I'll be able to mention the names of those senators who request for statements, but they do not appear to either defend or discuss their statements within the committee, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, the chairman of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transport and Housing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Karung Thangwa. I call upon the chairperson, CPAC, to make his statement as well.
You're still here. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B, I rise to make a statement on the activities of the County Public Accounts Committee for the period commencing 13th February 2024 to 19th of April 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 14 meetings in which interrogated reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of 7 county executives and 8 county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, even though the reporting period is from the 13th of February, I must note that with the leave of the Speaker, the committee retreated between the 6th and 11th of February, just a few days before commencement of the session, to write reports. And Mr. Speaker, on the order paper, members will be pleased to see we have submitted reports for 10 county assemblies and reports on 15 county executives. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period, the committee has noted with concern the rising trend of witnesses failing to appear before the committee without justifiable reasons, amounting to contempt of Parliament. The committee has flagged the governors of Isiolo and Nairobi county executives and has subsequently summoned them to appear before the committee in April and May, respectively. And Mr. Speaker, again, this report was approved last week, but I'm pleased to note that the governor of Isiolo was compelled to appear before the committee yesterday, and the committee also resolved to impose the maximum fine available under the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act to purge the contempt of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, if contempt of Senate committees is not checked, other governors are likely to follow suit if it does not invite any serious consequences. The Senate should thus explore avenues through amendments of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act to provide for stricter penalties, fines, imprisonment, or other punitive measures. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, we have requested the Legal Directorate to do a paper on the concept of contempt of Parliament and also to share with the committee what other jurisdictions do to ensure enforcement of the directives of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the committee undertook a county visit to Isiolo County in March for inspection of projects and interrogation of the reports of the Auditor General for the financial years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021. However, the governor failed to appear before the committee, and as I said earlier, we issued summons, and the governor appeared yesterday to explain himself. During project inspection, the committee observed that some of the projects, including the county headquarters, Isiolo Stadium, Isiolo Market, Mwangaza Dispensary, and the Isiolo Referral Hospital mortuary had either stalled or had taken longer than the planned period to complete, and some of the contractors were not on site. The committee directed the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to take keen interest on the implementation and projects, and further, we requested the Control of Budget to scrutinize the requisitions relating to the highlighted projects. Mr. Speaker, I would also emphasize and note that when we were in Isiolo, we went to the mortuary, the coolers were not working, and in as much as the county government explained that they were working before our visit, they were not able to demonstrate why they were not working during our visit. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee continues to note with concern the unhealthy size and growth of wage bill in many of the counties, beyond the recommended 35% threshold, and the processing of employee emoluments outside the integrated personnel and payroll database, what we call the IPPD. Payment outside the IPPD poses significant weaknesses for counties, since manual processes are often less transparent and more prone to corruption. Individuals responsible for payroll may manipulate records, create ghost employees, or inflate salaries to siphon county funds. Manual processing of salaries results in loss of audit trails and accountability mechanisms integral in automated information systems, since it is difficult to verify transactions or to hold individuals accountable for discrepancies in salary payments. This lack of accountability opens the door to fraud and misconduct. This unethical behavior undermines the integrity of the payroll systems and has resulted in massive financial losses in counties. Mr. Speaker, the committee has since invited the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management, the Council of Governors, and the County Assembly Forum to deliberate on this issue. Again, for emphasis, Mr. Speaker, the National Wage Bill Conference that was held about 2 weeks ago, representatives of the legislature were left out, and yet some of the interventions required to tame the unhealthy wage bill could rise from budgetary allocations, appropriations by Parliament, or statutory or regulatory reforms. And I hope that that can improve in future. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the interrogation of the Auditor General's reports for various county entities, the committee also noted with concern the persistent accruing pending bills, including non-remittance of statutory deductions to the relevant state agencies. The committee has directed the entities to take sustainable measures to address this matter, and further directed the Office of the Auditor General and the Control of Budget to closely monitor adherence to this directive. And Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to note also that Senator Ledama Olekina has brought a motion to this House on the subject of pending bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the interrogation of the various county entities, the committee noted that most entities failed to disclose their contingent liabilities in their financial statements. Some of the contingent liabilities may arise from litigation in progress, guarantees, indemnities, letters of comfort and support, insurance, and public-private partnerships. County governments, whereas they do not need to recognize a contingent liability in their statement of receipts and payments, they need to disclose details of any contingencies in notes to the financial statements, unless the possibility of an outflow of resources embodying economic benefits or service potential is remote. Mr. Speaker, some of the counties with the highest contingent liabilities include Nairobi City County, with a contingent liability close to 21.7 billion, Kiambu County, 497 million, and Meru County with 601 million. Other counties did not disclose their contingent liabilities, but there was evidence that there was litigation in progress, which, if the matters would go against the county governments, some of the county governments would be technically insolvent. And I think we saw that with Uasin Gishu, where the issues that are in court, if they were to go against the county government in totality, then the county government would have to pay much more than the revenues they earn locally and the revenues from equitable share. And so, Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that we have insisted needs to be disclosed. On issues to deal with presentation, accuracy, and completeness of financial statements, the committee has observed that accountants in various entities have often prepared financial statements which do not comply with the public sector accounting standards. This amounts to gross negligence in their conduct or professional duties and constitutes professional misconduct pursuant to Section 8A and 30 of the Accountants Act, Cap 531. Financial statements prepared under the International Public Sector Accounting Standards and prescribed by the Public Sector Accounting Standard Boards are critical in decision-making processes in counties as well as accountability. The committee has planned engagements with the professional bodies, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, the Institute of Human Resource Management, and the Kenya Institute of Supplies Management. And Mr. Speaker, these are regulated professions, regulated through acts of parliament. We want to meet them in a bid to come up with a proper framework of collaboration so that professionals perform their duties with the level and care of skill expected in their field, and also recommend disciplinary process for their members who fail to adhere to the standards. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to note that so far, as the chair of the committee, I had an engagement with the Office of the Auditor General during their annual planning retreat in Mombasa over the weekend, where we shared our concerns on professional responsibility. And the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya has since responded, even though through a press statement, to some of the issues that have emerged from the Senate deliberations. Mr. Speaker, it is comfort that professional bodies are taking note of what is happening in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has also cited in its reports that some county entities seem to be in serious or persistent material breach of their financial management principles. The committee has noted that some entities, for example, Nairobi, Kisumu, Baringo, and Tana River counties have had adverse opinion for more than 3 consecutive years. As a result, the committee is considering invoking the provisions of Article 2253 and Section 96(1) of the Public Finance Management Act on stoppage of funds. Stoppage of funds is a serious measure aimed at addressing governance and financial integrity issues and is part of a broader framework of accountability and oversight to ensure responsible use of public funds and delivery of services to citizens. Mr. Speaker, on the conversation around stoppage of funds, allow me just to emphasize what one of my committee members, Senator Okia Omtata, had raised, that if you stop the flow of funds to counties because of an errant governor, then you are punishing the masses. So we must find ways of punishing those persons who are errant, and the Article 2253 is a very lengthy process, but we can find a roundabout way of perhaps stopping the privileges and benefits that go to the ruling classes in counties, rather than stopping the flow of funds for medicine and other critical infrastructure to counties. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the members of the committee and the dedicated secretariat that usually sits for long hours to ensure we reduce the backlog of audit reports. The committee will continue to use various strategies, including subcommittees and merger of financial years, to shift to a more proactive mandate and to ensure the Senate is current in its interventions. And Mr. Speaker, I would wish to report to the House that we are currently dealing with the next round of appearances will go up to the financial year 2022. It's nothing to be proud of, but considering the backlog that we have had in the past, Mr. Speaker, we pray that by the end of this session, we will be able to bring to the House reports up to the financial year 2023. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Senator Kajwang. The chairperson, County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee, Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B to make a statement on the activities of the committee for the period commencing 1st January to 15th April 2024. Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee had a total of 25 meetings within and outside the presence of Parliament to consider matters within its mandate. The meetings that we did included: 1, the regular meetings to consider the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of special funds in counties for the financial years 2019-2020, 2020-2021, and 2021-2022. Mr. Speaker, this was a very important engagement because this Senate, since it was established, it had not considered the audited reports for funds, and this was noted as one area where we have challenges with the governance and issues to do with accountability. Number 2, multi-stakeholder engagement forum, which was held in Mombasa County to address numerous cross-cutting issues in the water sector that were identified by the committee during its interrogation of the audit reports for water companies. And this particular engagement, Mr. Speaker, we are in the process of doing a report which will be brought to this House on the various, the status of water investments or water entities in counties. Number 3, we had a report writing in Naivasha, Nakuru County, to write reports on the audited reports for water companies in our counties. In consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on funds in counties, Mr. Speaker, we noted a number of issues. Upon conclusion of the interrogation of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of public water companies in counties for the financial years 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021, the committee resolved to embark on the interrogation of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of funds in counties for the 3 years. During the period under review, the committee has met 23 county executives and governors and interrogated reports of the Auditor General on 67 funds in the said counties. Some of these funds includes, among others, bursary funds, disaster and emergency fund, honorable members, what members were talking this afternoon, car loan and mortgage funds, revolving funds, are some of the most common funds in counties. Honorable Speaker, in the interaction with the county executive on the audited report of funds, numerous cross-cutting issues affecting the operations were identified that included: 1, most funds were established based on regulations drawn from the PFM Act 2012, which is a national legislation, raising concerns on the legality and effectiveness of the offices of the county attorney. Mr. Speaker, you know, you can only generate regulations on national legislation if you are the cabinet secretary. But the counties have no powers to generate regulations on a national legislation on their own. So we noted that a number of counties have come up with regulations to manage funds based on the PFM. And we have had to give directions to these counties to regularize that and have a correct set of regulations in place. The other issue we noted, Mr. Speaker, was on the low recovery rate of loans advanced by revolving funds to beneficiaries, risking the continuity and sustainability of the funds. For example, Kitui Empowerment Fund had advanced loans amounting to 150 million Kenya shillings, but had only managed to recover 3 million shillings, raising concerns over its sustainability. And many other counties like Trans Nzoia, even Tana River and others. Mr. Speaker, we need, as a committee, to make a decision on whether counties should continue having these so-called revolving funds. Because we noted that in some cases, these funds are used to distribute money to politically correct groups, especially during election period. We noted that a number of counties gave out money during the period of June 2022 and September 2022, which was an election period. And these loans have not been recovered to date. The third observation, Mr. Speaker, was that most car loan and mortgage funds advanced to county executive staff without securing the interests of the county by charging the assets such as land and vehicles. Most loans were given in a very ad hoc manner. No security, no charging of property. And this is a major loophole for privilege of funds in our counties. The fourth major observation, Mr. Speaker, we had instances of multiple allocation of bursaries to a single beneficiary. Lack of acknowledgement of receipts by the benefiting institutions and checks that remained unpresented, leading to stale checks. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the bursary fund and the way it's being managed in a county, you wonder why governors are putting money in bursary funds when bursary is actually a national government function. Because most of these monies, they cannot account for. They cannot give a valid list of institutions where they gave bursaries. They cannot give a valid list of students who are benefited, and there is no acknowledgement. We know that some of the counties, for example, Bungoma County, we had serious concerns, and we have referred that matter to the EACC for further investigation. Number 5, observation, counties utilizing money allocated to emergency funds but fail to seek necessary approval from the county assemblies as required under Section 114 of the PFM Act 2012. Mr. Speaker, we have a scenario where emergency funds are utilized and the governors don't go back to the county assembly to regularize the approval of funds for emergency. That is common in most counties. And in some counties, we had instances where they have even overshot the threshold, given out money more than the required threshold of 2%.
tuchomoke. Niko. Ni nini sura? Stress ni ya? Ujaona hii public notice? Public notice gani? Bro, hujasoma hii public notice? Unakumbuka ile insurance cover nilichukua? Hiyo kampuni ya bima imefungwa bana. No. Serious. Ona. Na vile niko na cream na wao. Usipanic. Policy Holders Compensation Fund, PCF, ni agency ya gava yenye ilibuniwa ili kucompensate mtu yeyote mwenye ako na insurance claim kwa kampuni ya bima ambayo imefungwa. For real? Yes. And what's the process? Enda kwa website ya PCF. Fata hiyo procedure ya claim vile iko kwa website yao. Step by step. Step by step. Mpaka mwisho. And you are sorted.
Policyholder Compensation Fund will work with you hadi siku utakuwa compensated. Kumbuka, PCF is the only insurance guarantee scheme in Africa. PCF, thamana ya bima yako.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Hiya, Chep, you agree with Kamene that we are all daft?
From her point of view, I can say yes.
How will a blind person read another blind person?
There goes another madman in the making.
Let me just compose myself, Julia. Did this girl just call us Akilidun?
Yeah, Kamene, not everyone is a walkover. You better shape up or ship out.
You want me being featured in your music video, eh? I am telling you that is going to break all records you watch. Hafiz on my zest. Hafiz on my zest.
Remember how you call me useless? Don't you know my gift is priceless? And my legacy been timeless. And I'm never working a 9 to 5. I wanna be a root boy for life. I know that you made the sacrifice. You know I'm willing to pay the price. Mama, I don't wanna be the A student, working for the B students. For company as C students, in the land of the D students. Oh mama, now my E students. Uku inje wanna listen on my bands. Oh, you know the end justifies the means. You better take your time, but don't waste it. I think I'm losing motivation. I'm sick and tired of all this fake shit. I need to find a revelation. It takes a nation to raise a man, but it takes a woman to bless the nation. And music is the best education. I'm a preaching to the congregation, telling me nonsense. I can't be munanganga useless. All the son of calling me digress. To ADHD, see your madness. And I know you're judging me cause I'm high. Can't keep a job in a suit and tie. Can't keep time, but when it's my time, yote ni kisa na mjua Mungu. Mungu anaishi ndani yangu, anipae ujasiri. Usinione ninaringa, yote ni kisa na mjua Mungu. Mungu anaishi ndani yangu, ndo ananisitiri mimi. Nimeshapigana vita vingi, nimeshapoteza vingi, ila imani yangu kwake iko imara. Wamekwisha niwekea vigingi, mchawi nazi kafunja kasitini, ila nimeshindikana, nimeshindikana. Tena siogopi hata kwa hatari, siogopi hata kwa ajali. Alimbali uko nami, niko sambamba. Siogopi hata kwa hatari. Mana Mungu wangu ni afanani, yeye afanani, afanani na binadamu, afanani, yeye afanani. Mungu wangu afanani, yeye afanani, 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 yeye afanani. Mungu wangu afanani, afanani, katofanani na binadamu. Mungu wangu afanani nawe, Mungu wangu, afanani. Mungu wangu afanani na binadamu, Mungu wangu afanani nawe na binadamu. Tena siogopi hata kwa hatari, siogopi hata kwa ajali. Alimbali uko nami, niko sambamba. Siogopi hata kwa hatari. Mana Mungu wangu ni afanani, yeye afanani, afanani na binadamu, afanani, yeye afanani. Mungu wangu afanani, yeye afanani. Pole kaina kukera, ndo maisha nayotaka niacheni nilivyo. Usinifosi kula bata, kwa mdawe unaotaka. I'm sorry utonipata, usinipeleke hivyo. Watasema, watasema, ninavyoishi sio wote wanapenda. Namshukuru Mola mpaka sasa mina hema, sijakosea lolote, sijamkosea yoyote. In this life, ukiwa nazo atakupenda sana. In this life, ukiwa unatakusemanga sana. In this life, siri yake kujipenda sana. In this life, sijinyimera. In this life, ukiwa nazo atakupenda sana. In this life, ukiwa unatakusemanga kujipenda sana. In this life, sijinyimera. Alright, mbona nijinyimira na maisha yangu mwenyewe, nafanya nachofanya nimeridhia, usinipimie kwenye mishe zangu. Mbona unichunguze pesa na binadamu, ule unendania niye kumbe si. Kuna watu na viatu wasiotaka ufanikiwe hao. Wejitege na futa zao, si watu wao, si watu wao. In this life, ukiwa happen to come my way, usipote. If you happen to see my face, unigote. Weni moto ya umbali sadly, ningekupenda my number one agenda. Nimechelewa, ulishaolewa, naelewa, lakini nimelemewa. Nimechelewa, ulishaolewa, naelewa, lakini nimelemewa. Kaimeweza, imeweza, kaimeweza, imeweza, wakiteseka, tesa mama, wasikudishe, wanyamazishe. Baby, uliza, do you love her, do you miss her? Uliza, Mona Lisa, oh I miss her. I could take a pill in Ibiza, I could take a pill if it please her. Uliza, do you love her, do you miss her? You cannot run, no, you can't even hide. You feeling something, and I know you like it. You cannot run, you can't even hide it. You feeling something, and I know you know. Imeweza, 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 wakiteseka, tesa mama, wasikudishe, wanyamazishe. Imeweza, imeweza, wakiteseka, tesa mama, wasikudishe, wanyamazishe. Hatoti ukizungusha naishiwa na hewa. Hatoti chamevu, hatoti nyela. Hatoti ukitingisha naishiwa na hewa. Uyaongea watu yawa timlani yawa nyiribere inkere bane Atoti wanimaliza nakala chafu nandika andiko ni nyaka isha rambanya sisi kudanganya nyama mapia teri usengei omintawera kimolo bukane no pia tini indegei. Atoti chafu, atoti ngela, atoti ukizungurusha naishiwa na hewa. Atoti chafu, atoti ngela, atoti ukitingisha naishiwa na hewa. Atoti nisore, atoti singore, nene niri mangento ginyalika. Japera ye ngichumale, derndigi wangi pironeka. Wakikuona wanabaki wakishanga, vile unazitoka walai blanda. Mimi nimetekwa, napewa mahaba. Ay, ulelo, say you the way now. Japera ye, kama mtoto napewa masiwa. Ay, ulelo, say you the way now. Japera ye, kama mtoto napewa masiwa. Atoti chamu, atoti ngela, atoti ukizungurusha naishiwa na hewa. Atoti chamu, atoti ngela, atoti ukitingisha naishiwa na hewa.
mogoka, toka mdem juu nimechoka na si chocha. Hapa kuna love ni chocha, mpaka una rekodi ni unazoza telegram natekwa juu ya town na grants useme sizi keep kwa pants, you drive me nuts. You love them hapa kwa ipongi mi siezi kam vile umechimbwa nikani dam. You think I'm blind, deaf and dumb. You think I'm high and drunk on rum. Kwanza ukilia ndo sana jam. You think I'm blind, deaf and dumb.
Ati mimi nani uliniona wapi na nani? Ati mimi nani uliniona wapi na nani? Ati mimi nani uliniona wapi na nani? Ati mimi
Ili kupata msubiri Mungu kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *812 *501#.
Kijana kanipigia simu amejawa na huzuni, amefadhaika yuhoi. Nikamuuliza kunani? Japo nimetia jitihada za mtu wa kujenga nyumba kwa mate, nikaongeza kumcha Mungu, sifanikiwi. Naishi kama lofa mlala hoi, kabwela wa madongo.
Kupata msubiri Mungu kama sikiza tune, bonyeza *812 *501#. *812 *501#.
Birth documents.
No.
Because I wrote all of them. And I kept a duplicate
Then that
copy.
means you can show me the documents, right? Show me now.
We'll finally have a wedding in this house.
Why must everyone bow their heads before Mr. Oligario?
Ruben, just listen to me. I'm begging you. It's to prevent a disaster from happening.
Mother, never. No.
But please don't tell me to go to another man and get away from me. You don't want me to hate you?
Go and tell your mother to send me right away all her overdue bills and all of her promissory notes. I'll be sure to take care of them.
Las Bandidas.